I don't want a husband who only earns $900 a month, I said. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Maybe my mother-in-law was shocked. Hello? Are you still there? The mother of a man who makes $900 a month? What are you talking about? She finally asked. I'm saying Aaron earns $900 a month from his part-time job. I think you're mistaken. You're missing a zero. No, I'm not. He earns $900 a month, that's it. My name is Maria, and I'm 29 years old. I've been married to Aaron for 5 years, and we've been living in a small apartment ever since. We don't have kids yet. Life isn't luxurious, but it's simple and happy. We both do work we enjoy, and there's little stress. But 6 months ago, things started to change. My mother-in-law, who lives nearby, decided she wanted to move in with us. Aaron and I tried to explain that we couldn't make it work, but she wouldn't listen. What surprised me even more was that Aaron started taking her side. That was the beginning of our problems, and things only got worse. My father-in-law passed away a few years ago, so my mother-in-law had been living alone in her house. She was managing just fine, but now she claimed she couldn't stay there anymore. She said she felt unsafe and uncomfortable. But that wasn't the whole truth. Her house was old and needed major repairs. Instead of spending money to fix it, she decided she wanted to live with us. That way, she could avoid the costs altogether. When we got married, Aaron promised me we wouldn't live with his parents. Their house is only 10 minutes away, so if she ever needs help, we can always be there. Besides, my mother-in-law has never liked me. Even before the wedding, she'd make snide comments about me. Now, whenever we talk, she still throws in little jabs. If we lived together, I know she'd become even harder to deal with. Recently, she quit her part-time job and is now unemployed. If she moved in, we'd have to cover her expenses too, and with our current finances, we just can't do that. But she doesn't seem to care. Don't act so proud when my son is the one supporting you, she snapped. I told her I work from home and contribute financially too, but she ignored me. She kept insisting that Aaron's income was enough to live well. The truth is, we can't survive on his income alone. I asked her if she even knew how much Aaron makes each month. Of course I know, he's my son, and you're lucky to have a husband who's so successful, she said confidently. Really? I asked. If Aaron's part-time salary was so impressive, then she clearly didn't know the reality of his earnings. My mother-in-law spoke to me in her usual condescending tone. I'll take care of the housework so you can go to work. You're not managing the finances well when my son makes so much money. You must be a big spender, aren't you? No, I've told you before, I work from home. I'm not a spender. I work hard and save money, I said firmly. Well, money aside, this apartment is too small for 3 adults, she added casually. So, I replied, exactly, that's why we can't live together. But she just shrugged. Then why don't you move to a bigger place, or maybe buy a house? To my shock, Aaron, as though he'd been hypnotized, started agreeing with her. Was he unable to stand up to his mother, or did he really want to live with her? He began telling me to stop being so stubborn and even said something that shook me to the core. It's more fun to live with my mom, isn't it? What? I asked, completely stunned. She'll help with the housework, Maria. It'll make your life easier too, he said like it was a perfectly reasonable suggestion. Aaron was now fully on board with his mom's plan. I didn't know what to do. I resisted for as long as I could, but then he did something drastic. One day, while I was out, he packed his things and left. When I got home and realized all his belongings were gone, I called him immediately. Where are you? Why is all your stuff gone? I moved out, he said simply. What? Why? You didn't want to live with Mom, so I bought a house. Problem solved, he said. Bought a house? With what money? That's when I heard my mother-in-law's voice on the phone. That's right, Aaron and I will live in the new house together for a while. Maybe you can join us later, after you've had time to think things over. By the way, can you even afford to stay in that apartment on your own? You should be grateful. I hung up. I could hear her sarcastic remarks as I ended the call, but I didn't care anymore. A house? They're lying. There's no way they could afford a house with their financial situation. I didn't even want to know where they went. I realized then and there, I can live on my own. I don't need my husband or his overbearing mother. I'm capable of supporting myself, and that's all I need right now. I had been paying the rent with my own money from the beginning, so I wasn't worried about managing without my husband. In fact, I started seriously thinking about divorce. A few days later, I got a surprising phone call. "Hey, Maria, it's your brother, Tom. Long time no talk. Did you know Aaron and his mom are at my house?" "What?" "Tom owns a house, but after buying it, he got transferred for work. Since then, I've been in charge of managing it." "Wait a second," I said, rushing to check the safe in my bedroom. The key to Tom's house was gone. "Tom, the key is missing. Did you call Aaron about it?" "No, I'm actually outside the house right now, watching. I think I know what's going on, but I'm not sure what to do." "We can call the police," Tom said. "Maybe, but Aaron is still family. Technically, I'm not sure if the police will get involved right away." "You're right, don't worry, I'll handle it in a couple of days. Can you wait a bit?" "Okay, let me know if you need anything from me." After hanging up, I immediately called Aaron. "Oh, I hope you're feeling sorry now," said my mother-in-law when she answered the phone. "Where are you?" I asked. "Oh, you don't sound sorry at all," she sneered. "Where are you?" I repeated. "I don't need to tell you anything. You must be desperate without my son's $9,000 monthly salary," she said smugly. $9,000 salary? Who are you talking about?" "Of course, Aaron. My son has enough money to buy this wonderful house," she replied, laughing. I couldn't help but laugh too. "What's so funny?" she snapped. "Aaron said he'd divorce me if I didn't listen to him." "That's fine with me," I said. "How stubborn are you? If he leaves you, you won't survive on your own." "Actually, I can manage just fine. I don't need a husband who only earns $900 a month." There was silence on the other end of the line. "Hello? Are you still there? The mother of a man who only makes $900 a month? What are you talking about?" she finally asked. "I'm saying Aaron earns $900 a month from his part-time job. You must be missing a zero." "No, I'm not. It's $900. When I asked Aaron about his income, he said, around 9. That's what he meant, $900, not 9,000. It seemed hard for her to believe. "Just so you know," I continued, "it's thanks to my salary that we've been able to cover all our expenses. My salary is $5,000, not $500. As you probably think, I'm not being supported by Aaron. He quit his full-time job years ago and only works part-time, 3 days a week." My mother-in-law didn't respond. I decided to add one final blow. "Oh, and by the way, the house you're living in now, the one you think Aaron bought for you, it actually belongs to my brother." "That's not true. Aaron bought this house for me." "No, it's my brother's house. He gave me the key, and Aaron took it without permission. What you and Aaron have done is a crime. I'm going to report it to the police." "Wait, please don't call the police," she screamed. "Then leave the house immediately," I said. Before I could say more, my mother-in-law hung up, still shouting in a panic. I figured my husband and his mother were probably arguing after our phone call. Later, when I went to check on my brother's house, they were gone. They must have rushed back to her house in a panic. I called my brother right away and apologized for the trouble my husband had caused. But there was still one thing left to do: divorce my selfish husband. I filled out the divorce papers and sent them to my in-laws' house. Not long after, my husband called me, sounding desperate. "You're joking, right? I'm really sorry about the house. Please reconsider." "I can't stay married to a thief," I told him coldly. "Go ahead and live happily with your mother, since you love her so much. I can't live without you. Then get a full-time job. Good luck making that $9,000 salary you like to brag about." Even though I was firm, my husband refused to sign the papers, so I brought in a lawyer, and the divorce went through without much trouble. Finally, I was free of him and his overbearing mother. Now, my husband and mother-in-law live together in their old, rundown house. He's still earning $900 a month from his part-time job, and she had to start working part-time again, too. They fight constantly, and she complains to him every day. As for me, I moved out of the apartment and into a new place. I no longer have to support my husband, and my life is much more peaceful. I've been able to focus more on my work from home, and my income has been steadily growing. Soon, I'll save enough to buy a house of my own. Looking back, my husband didn't appreciate his own situation. If he had thought about it properly, he would have realized how lucky he was to have me, but he didn't, and now he's stuck living with his mother, struggling to make ends meet. I'm glad I divorced him. My life is better now, and I'm finally free to enjoy my peace and independence. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you like. See you in the next video.
I watched my husband raise his crystal champagne flute, the one his mother Andrea gave us for our wedding, and felt nothing but cold satisfaction. This was the last time he'd celebrate anything in my apartment. "To new beginnings," Felix declared, his perfectly white teeth gleaming. "To finally breaking free from corporate slavery and finding my true calling. My name is Emily, and I've spent the last 5 years being the perfect, supportive wife while secretly building an empire right under my husband's nose." Tonight, he had no idea he was toasting to his own downfall. "Of course, darling," I smiled, clinking my glass against his. "Whatever makes you happy." Felix had dropped his bombshell over dinner. He was quitting his job as a financial analyst. No backup plan, no savings, just an overwhelming urge to find himself. The same man who'd sneered at my supposed part-time admin job was now expecting me to carry us both on what he thought was a measly $30,000 salary. "Mother's coming over to help us plan," he announced, already reaching for his phone. "She'll know exactly how to handle this transition." I kept my face carefully neutral. "Now, it's nearly 9 p.m. "Emily, dear, this is important. Mother always knows best." 20 minutes later, Andrea swept in wearing her signature Hermes scarf and disapproving expression. "Felix, darling," she cooed, embracing him while barely acknowledging my existence. "Such a brave decision. I always said that job was beneath you." "Thanks, Mother." Felix preened under her attention. "Emily's been surprisingly supportive." Andrea's eyes narrowed as she turned to me. "Has she now? And how exactly do you plan to support my son during this, transition?" "I'm sure we'll manage," I said softly, pouring her a glass of wine. "I have some savings." "Savings?" Andrea laughed. "From that little reception job? Felix needs proper support right now, not pocket change." I watched them huddle together on my Italian leather couch, the one I'd bought with cash from my first property flip, planning Felix's journey of self-discovery as if I wasn't even there. 5 years of this. 5 years of being dismissed, patronized, and treated like an accessory in my own home. "We'll need to cut back on expenses," Felix announced grandly. "No more fancy coffee shops, Emily. And maybe you could pick up some extra hours?" Andrea nodded approvingly. "Sacrifices must be made. Family comes first, after all." "Of course," I agreed, my voice honey-sweet. "Whatever you need, Felix." They spent the next hour mapping out how I would support Felix's dreams. Neither bothered to ask about mine. They never had. "You'll need to cancel that gym membership," Andrea instructed, jotting notes in her little leather notebook. "And honestly, dear, those highlights can wait. Felix's journey is the priority now." I touched my perfectly maintained hair, paid for by the rental income from my downtown property, and smiled. "You're absolutely right, Andrea. Changes are definitely coming." Felix raised his glass again. "To our future. I couldn't do this without you, Emily." "No," I said quietly, watching him drain his champagne. "You really couldn't." Later that night, after Andrea finally left and Felix fell asleep on the couch, I stood in my home office and made a call. "Ruby, it's time. Have the papers ready tomorrow?" My best friend's voice crackled through the speaker. "All of them?" I looked at my sleeping husband, sprawled out like a king in a castle he didn't own. "Everything. Divorce papers, eviction notice, all of it. Let's see how well he finds himself when he's not standing on my shoulders." "You're sure?" I thought about the properties I'd accumulated, the empire I'd built while playing the role of submissive wife. I thought about Felix's condescending smirk every time he explained basic finances to me, and Andrea's subtle jabs about my simple job and modest ambitions. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. "Then let's do this," Ruby said. "Time to show them who you really are." I hung up and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, I'd stop being Felix's supportive wife and Andrea's compliant daughter-in-law. Tomorrow, I'd finally be myself. "Darling," Felix mumbled from the couch, "come to bed." "In a minute," I called back softly. "I'm just thinking about our future." And I was. Just not the future he imagined. In less than 24 hours, I'd show them exactly what the quiet little wife was capable of. But for now, I'd let them dream their entitled dreams one last time. Ruby's office always felt like a war room to me, and today was no different. Spread across her desk were property documents, bank statements, and the carefully crafted papers that would end my marriage. 5 years, Ruby said, shuffling through the files. 5 years of playing small while building all this. You're either a saint or a mastermind. I traced my finger along the edge of my newest acquisition contract. Neither, just patient. "Walk me through it again," Ruby insisted, pulling out her checklist. "I want everything perfect for tomorrow." I settled into her leather chair, remembering the day that started it all. When my aunt died, she left me $50,000. Felix called it shopping money and told me to treat myself. "And instead, you bought your first property." "A rundown duplex," I nodded. Felix was working late, as usual. I signed the papers while he was at some client dinner with Andrea. Ruby pulled up the current value on her tablet. "Now worth triple what you paid. And they never suspected?" "Why would they? Andrea told everyone I was simple but sweet. Felix assumed I spent my days filing papers and getting coffee." The phone rang. Nash, my property manager, calling with updates. "Everything's ready, he reported. "All tenants are secure. Paperwork's clean. You say the word, and we start the eviction process." "Perfect." I ended the call and turned to Ruby. "Remember when Felix insisted I didn't need a proper job because he'd always take care of me?" Ruby snorted. "While you were secretly closing on the Riverside apartments." 4 buildings now," I said quietly. 32 units, all paid for and profitable. And one very expensive soon-to-be ex-husband who's about to learn what it means to actually struggle. I picked up the divorce papers, feeling their weight. Felix always said I was bad with numbers, that I needed him to handle the finances. Meanwhile, you've built a real estate empire worth millions. Ruby leaned forward. "Emily, are you absolutely sure about this? Once we serve these papers, there's no going back." The memory of last night's dinner flashed through my mind, Felix and Andrea, plotting away my future without a second thought. "Show me the final numbers." Ruby pulled up the spreadsheet we'd prepared. "Your personal account has $12,000, what Felix thinks is your entire savings. The business account under the LLC has just over $2 million. The properties are all owned by separate corporations, with you as the sole shareholder." "And the prenup?" "Ironclad. Felix insisted on it, remember? To protect his assets." Ruby's laugh was sharp. "The irony is beautiful." I stood and walked to the window, watching people hurry past on the street below. 5 years ago, I was one of them, running errands, trying to please everyone, making myself small. And now? Now I own the building they're walking past. I turned back to Ruby. "Is everything in place for tomorrow?" She nodded, pulling out a timeline. "Nash will serve the eviction notice at 9 a.m. Divorce papers will arrive at 9:30. I've got security on standby in case Felix or Andrea make a scene. They will." I sat back down, pulling out my phone to show Ruby the dozens of missed calls from Felix. "He's been trying to reach me all morning. Probably wants to discuss more ways I can support his journey." "Should I be there tomorrow?" I shook my head. "No, this is something I need to do alone." "Emily," Ruby hesitated. "What about afterward? They'll try to fight this." "Let them." I gathered the papers into my briefcase. "Everything's legal. Everything's documented. They can fight all they want, but they can't change the truth." My phone buzzed again, another call from Felix. This time I answered. "Darling, where are you?" His voice was annoyed. "Mother's here. We're planning my new wellness coaching business. She thinks you should cash out your retirement fund to help with startup costs. I caught Ruby's eye and put the phone on speaker. I'll be home soon, I said calmly. We can discuss everything then. Excellent. Mother's staying for dinner. Don't forget to pick up her favorite wine on your way back. The line went dead. Ruby raised an eyebrow. Wellness coaching? Apparently. I stood, straightening my jacket. His third calling this year. You know Andrea will be there tomorrow, too. Counting on it. I picked up my briefcase. Time for them both to learn what I've been doing while they were busy underestimating me. Ruby hugged me tight. Give them hell. I walked out of her office feeling lighter than I had in years. Tomorrow, I'd stop being invisible. Tomorrow, I'd show them exactly who they'd been dismissing all this time. And I couldn't wait. The morning sun streamed through our kitchen windows as I set Felix's favorite breakfast on the table. Imported yogurt, fresh berries, and artisanal granola. Underneath the bowl, perfectly centered, lay the divorce papers. Something smells amazing, Felix wandered in, still in his designer pajamas. You're up early. Big day, I smiled, pouring his coffee. Eat while it's fresh. He settled into his chair, immediately reaching for his phone. Mother's coming over at 10. We need to discuss the business plan for my coaching venture. The doorbell rang precisely at 9 a.m. Felix looked up, confused. Are we expecting someone? You are? I sipped my coffee, watching as he went to answer the door. Nash stood there, professional and polite, holding the eviction notice. Mr. Montgomery, legal documents for you, sir? I heard Felix's laugh, sharp, dismissive. There must be some mistake. This is my apartment. Actually, I called from the kitchen, it's mine. Felix stormed back in, papers clutched in his hand. What is this nonsense? Some kind of joke? Check your breakfast bowl. He yanked the divorce papers from under his untouched yogurt, face reddening as he read. What the hell, Emily? Keep reading, I said calmly. It's all very straightforward. This is ridiculous. He slammed both documents down. I'm calling Mother. Already on her way, remember? Perfect timing. Felix paced the kitchen, running his hands through his hair. You can't evict me from my own home. Your name isn't on the deed. Never has been. I stood, gathering the breakfast dishes. You have 30 days to find new accommodation. This is insane. Where am I supposed to go? How dare you? The doorbell rang again. Andrea burst in without waiting for an answer, her face already set in battle mode. Felix called me in hysterics, she announced. What have you done now, Emily? I handed her a copy of both documents. Just taking care of some overdue paperwork. Andrea's face went from red to white as she read. This is preposterous. You can't evict my son from his home. Not his home, I corrected. Mine. Purchased 3 years ago through my property management company. Property management? Felix sputtered. What property management? You're a receptionist. I walked to my home office, returning with a stack of documents. Actually, I own 4 apartment buildings, this one included. That part-time reception job? Just a cover. Andrea snatched the papers, her hands shaking. Impossible. You're lying. Call the property office, I suggested. Ask for the owner. They'll connect you to my cell phone. Felix slumped into a chair. But the prenup, the one you insisted on? I smiled. Still valid. Everything I own is protected under separate LLCs, established before our marriage. Your lawyer approved it all. I'll fight this, Andrea hissed. We'll take you to court. Please do. I pulled out my phone, showing them the security app. But first, you might want to leave. You're both trespassing now, and I have excellent lawyers. You can't do this to us, Felix shouted. I'm your husband. Soon-to-be ex-husband, I corrected. And I'm not doing anything to you, Felix. You did this to yourself when you decided to quit your job and live off my supposed minimum wage. Andrea grabbed Felix's arm. We're calling our lawyer. This gold-digging scheme won't work. I laughed then, really laughed, for the first time in years. Gold digging? I'm worth more than your entire family, Andrea. Check the property records if you don't believe me. This isn't over, she snarled, dragging Felix toward the door. Actually, it is. I pressed the intercom. Nash, please escort Mr. Montgomery and his mother out. They were just leaving. Nash appeared with 2 security guards, professional, polite, immovable. You'll regret this, Andrea spat as they were led out. We'll destroy you. I watched from my window as they stormed to Andrea's luxury car, the one she'd mortgaged her house to afford. Felix looked back once, his face a mixture of rage and disbelief. My phone buzzed, Ruby calling. Well, she asked. Exactly as expected, I replied. Andrea threatened legal action. Felix had a meltdown. And how do you feel? I looked around my apartment, and smiled. Like I can finally breathe. They'll be back, Ruby warned. Let them come. I walked to my office, settling into my chair. I've got 5 years of documentation, rock-solid contracts, and the truth on my side. Want me to come over? No, I said, pulling up my property management software. I've got work to do, real work. After hanging up, I sat in the quiet of my office, listening to the echo of Andrea's threats and Felix's protests fade away. 5 years of pretense had ended in 30 minutes of chaos, and I'd never felt more powerful in my life. The lawyer's office felt colder than usual as Felix's attorney droned on about marital assets. 3 days had passed since the serving of papers, and here we were, watching Felix grasp at straws. My client demands half of all property assets acquired during the marriage, his lawyer stated, sliding documents across the table. My attorney, Sarah, didn't even blink. That would be nothing then. All properties were purchased through separate LLCs before the marriage. The apartment they lived in. Purchased 3 years before their wedding, Sarah interrupted, producing the deed. Next? Felix slammed his hand on the table. She used our joint account. Never, I said quietly. Check the records. Every property was purchased with separate funds. You can thank your prenup for keeping our finances so cleanly divided. This is absurd, Felix turned to his lawyer. She must have hidden money somewhere, transferred funds secretly. Sarah pulled out another file. Here are Mrs. Blake's complete banking records for the past 7 years. Everything is transparent and legal. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Emily, it's Nicole, Andrea's niece. We need to talk. It's important. I excused myself, stepping into the hallway to make the call. Emily, Nicole's voice was hushed. Are you alone? Yes. What's going on? Aunt Andrea is on the warpath. She's telling everyone you're mentally unstable, that you've been stealing from Felix for years. She paused. But that's not why I'm calling. I leaned against the wall. Go on. You're not the first, Emily. There was someone before you, Vada. Felix did the same thing to her 5 years ago. My hand tightened on the phone. What do you mean? He quit his job while they were engaged, said he needed to find himself. Drained her savings, used her connections. When she finally stood up to him, Andrea helped him destroy her reputation. Where is she now? Running her own business across town. I can set up a meeting if you want. There's more you need to know. Back in the conference room, Felix was still ranting about hidden assets. We lived together, he shouted. She must have used our shared expenses for something. Sarah slid another document forward. Your client insisted Mrs. Blake pay exactly half of all household expenses documented here. The rest of her income was legally hers to invest as she pleased. Felix's face crumpled. But you were just a receptionist? No, I corrected. You assumed I was just a receptionist. You never asked what else I did. This meeting is over, his lawyer announced, gathering papers. We'll review our options. There are no options, Sarah stated firmly. The prenup is ironclad. Your client's idea, by the way. Mrs. Blake's properties are separate assets. End of discussion. As they stood to leave, my phone buzzed again. Ruby. Andrea's at Building C, she reported, trying to convince tenants she's the real owner. Nash is handling it. Of course she is, I sighed. Send me the security footage. Felix lingered by the door. Emily, we can work this out. I'll get a job, a real one this time. Like you promised Vada? He froze. How do you know about Vada? Your cousin Nicole is very informative. I gathered my belongings. How many times have you pulled this stunt, Felix? Quit your job, leech off a woman, move on when the money runs out? That's not. It wasn't. Save it. I walked past him. The eviction stands. 30 days. My phone buzzed one more time, a text from Nicole with an address and time. Vada will meet you tomorrow at 2. She has receipts. I showed Felix the message. Seems like we both have appointments tomorrow. His face went pale. Emily, please, don't do this. You did this, I replied. I'm just finishing it. Outside, the spring air felt clean and sharp. Sarah walked me to my car. They have nothing, she assured me. The prenup is solid, the properties are protected, and all transactions are documented. Andrea will try something else. Let her. Sarah smiled. Every attempt just makes her look worse. I drove to Building C, where Nash waited with the security footage. Andrea's performance was almost impressive. Tears, claims of family betrayal, dramatic accusations. The tenants had simply called security. Should we press charges? Nash asked. Not yet. I watched Andrea's Mercedes peel out of the parking lot. Let's see what Vada has to say first. That night, alone in my apartment, I pulled up the security feeds from all 4 buildings. My empire, built in silence while playing the role of submissive wife. Tomorrow, I'd meet Vada and learn just how deep Felix's pattern went. But tonight, I savored the quiet and planned my next move. Because this wasn't just about divorce anymore. This was about exposing the truth, all of it. And I was just getting started. The cafe where I met Vada was quiet, tucked away in a part of town Andrea would never set foot in. I recognized her immediately. Confident posture, sharp eyes, designer blazer that screamed success. You must be Emily, she said, extending her hand. Nicole told me what's happening. History really does repeat itself. Tell me everything, I replied, sitting down. First, Vada pulled out her phone. Let's make this interesting. Felix still thinks he's meeting a potential investor here in 20 minutes. My eyebrows shot up. How did you manage that? Used my old email, the one he doesn't know I still have. He always was desperate for easy money. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Mind if I record this? Please do. We ordered coffee and waited. Vada told me about her engagement to Felix, how he'd convinced her to invest in his revolutionary startup right after quitting his job. He took everything, she said quietly. My savings, my business contacts. Andrea helped him, of course, called me unstable when I finally confronted them. Sounds familiar. There she is, Felix's voice boomed across the cafe. He froze when he saw us together. What? What is this? Sit down, Felix, Vada commanded. We're having a little reunion. His face went through several emotions before settling on charm. Vada, darling, what a surprise! Emily, sweetheart, I can explain. Explain what? I asked calmly. How you pulled the same scam on both of us. Quit your job, claim you're finding yourself, drain our resources. It wasn't like that. He looked around frantically. Where's the investor? Vada held up her phone. There isn't one, but this conversation is being recorded. You can't. Actually, we can, I interrupted. Single-party consent state. And you really should sit down. Andrea's about to join us. Right on cue, Andrea burst through the door. Felix, don't say another word. I got your text about a trap. She stopped short, seeing all of us together. Andrea, Vada smiled, still wearing that fake Hermes scarf, I see. You! Andrea sputtered. How dare you? Sit, I commanded, both of you, now. Maybe it was my tone, or maybe they finally realized they were cornered. Either way, they sat. Here's what's going to happen, I began. Felix, you're going to sign these papers agreeing to an uncontested divorce. Andrea, you're going to stop harassing my tenants and spreading lies. Or what? Andrea sneered. Vada slid forward a thick folder. Or we release these documents, bank statements showing how Felix embezzled from my company, emails proving Andrea's involvement. Oh, and evidence of 3 other women he tried this with. Felix went pale. 3? You didn't think Nicole would find them? I asked. She's very thorough. This is blackmail, Andrea hissed. No, Vada corrected. This is consequences. Sign the papers, Felix. Walk away, or I press charges for the money you stole from my company. I didn't steal, forging my signature on company checks? Vada's voice was steel. That's theft, Felix. The statute of limitations hasn't expired. Felix's hands shook as he reached for the divorce papers. Emily, please, we can work this out. Like you worked it out with Vada and Jessica and Maria? I pushed a pen toward him. Sign. Andrea grabbed his arm. Don't you dare. We can fight this. Actually, I pulled out my phone, showing them an email. You can't. Your house is being foreclosed, Andrea. Can't afford lawyers without money. How did you? I bought your mortgage, I smiled. Amazing what you can do with good credit and actual income. The color drained from Andrea's face. Felix looked between us, broken. You have 2 choices, I continued. Sign the papers, walk away, and we all move on, or don't, and face fraud charges, public exposure, and complete financial ruin. You wouldn't, Andrea whispered. Vada leaned forward. Try us. Felix signed, each page, every line, his hands trembling. Now get out, I said quietly. Both of you. And if I hear one more rumor, see one more attempt to contact my tenants, or find you anywhere near my properties, everything goes public. They left, Andrea practically dragging Felix, who kept looking back like he couldn't believe what had happened. Well, Vada sat back. That was satisfying. Thank you, I said, for everything. Thank you. I've waited 5 years to see him face consequences. She gathered her things. Keep the evidence file, insurance. As she stood to leave, she paused. Emily, the best revenge isn't just winning, it's thriving. I watched her walk away, confident and free, and knew she was right. I'd won this battle, but the real victory would be in what I built next. My phone buzzed, Ruby calling with updates about a new property opportunity. Time to get back to work, time to thrive. The knock on my office door was frantic. I already knew who it was before opening it, Andrea looking significantly less polished than usual. Please, she said, mascara smeared under her eyes. I need your help. I let her in, watching as she clutched her knockoff designer handbag. The foreclosure? I'll lose everything, her voice cracked. The house, my reputation, everything I've built. You mean everything you pretended to build? I gestured to the chair across from my desk. Sit down, Andrea. Let's talk about reality. Ruby walked in, right on schedule, carrying a stack of financial records. Oh, perfect timing. These just came in from the bank. Andrea's eyes darted between us. What records? Your mortgage history, I replied, taking the documents from Ruby. Very interesting reading. Multiple refinances, hidden credit cards, tax liens. You've been drowning for years. That's private information. Not when I own the debt. I spread the papers out. You mortgaged your house to the hilt, living beyond your means, counting on Felix to marry rich and bail you out. She crumpled in the chair. You don't understand. My position in society is fake, Ruby interrupted, just like your Hermes scarves. I can pay, Andrea pleaded. Just give me time. Felix will find another victim? I leaned forward. Like Vada? Like me? That plan's finished, Andrea. Felix signed the divorce papers. It's over. My phone buzzed. A text from Nicole. Aunt Andrea missing from brunch. Headed your way? Your own niece knew you'd try this. I showed Andrea the message. You've become predictable. What do you want? Andrea whispered. Name your price. Ruby pulled up a chair. Actually, we have a proposition. I slid a document across the desk. Sign over the house. Walk away clean. We'll handle the debt. And live where? Do what? Andrea's voice rose hysterically. I'm not some common renter. You're about to be homeless, Ruby pointed out. Those are worse odds. My office phone rang, Nash reporting that Felix had been spotted trying to enter Building B. Excuse me, I stepped out to take the call. What's he doing? Telling tenants he's the owner's husband, Nash sighed. Want me to call the police? No, send me the footage. We might need it later. When I returned, Andrea was reading the offer, her hands shaking. This is nothing, she said. The house is worth less than you owe, Ruby cut in. We're offering you a clean slate. Most people don't get that chance. I could fight this. With what money? I sat back down. Your credit cards are maxed. Your house is underwater. Felix can't help you anymore. Andrea's facade finally cracked. I just wanted him to be successful, to have everything I couldn't give him. By destroying other women? I pushed the pen closer. Sign, Andrea. End this cycle. What will people say? They're already talking. Ruby showed her phone. Social media posts about Andrea's financial troubles. At least this way you leave with dignity. Andrea signed, her signature wobbling. What happens now? Now you start over, I said, like all the women you and Felix tried to destroy had to do. I have nowhere to go. Nicole offered to help, I revealed. Your niece has a spare room. She's willing to give you a chance, despite everything. Andrea's head snapped up. Nicole? But she sided with you. She sided with the truth, Ruby corrected. Something you might want to try. After Andrea left, clutching her copy of the agreement, Ruby turned to me. Think she learned anything? Probably not, I admitted. But she's powerless now. That's what matters. Speaking of power, Ruby pulled out her tablet. That Riverside complex is still available. Perfect addition to your portfolio. I looked at the property details, thinking about the future. What if we did something different? Different how? Turn it into transitional housing, I suggested, for women starting over, professional development programs, financial literacy classes. Ruby's eyes lit up. Using your empire to help others build theirs? Poetic justice. Vada could help run it, I added. She's got the business experience. Nicole, too, if she's interested. From revenge to revolution, Ruby smiled. I like it. My phone buzzed again. Nash sending security footage of Felix being escorted out, still protesting about his rights as my husband. Should we worry about him? Ruby asked. No, I replied, watching him retreat on the screen. He's finished. They both are. I turned back to the Riverside property plans, already imagining the possibilities. 5 years ago, I'd started buying buildings to secure my own freedom. Now I could help others find theirs. Make the offer, I told Ruby. It's time to build something new. Something better than revenge. Something that would last. The courthouse hallway felt endless as I walked toward courtroom B, Ruby and Sarah flanking me. Despite the signed divorce papers, Felix had made one last desperate attempt, contesting the prenup. Remember, Sarah whispered, let me do the talking. He's trying to provoke an emotional response. Felix and his new lawyer waited inside, along with a noticeably absent Andrea. Nicole had texted earlier. Her mother had finally moved in with her, broken but accepting reality. All rise, the bailiff called as Judge Martinez entered. Your Honor, Felix's lawyer began, My client contests the prenuptial agreement on grounds of fraud and coercion. Mrs. Blake deliberately concealed assets. Objection, Sarah interrupted. The prenup was drafted by Mr. Montgomery's own legal team. Mrs. Blake's assets were separately held before marriage. She deceived my client about her true financial status. Judge Martinez peered over her glasses. Did Mr. Montgomery ask about her finances? Well, no, but did Mrs. Blake ever lie when directly questioned about her business dealings? She led him to believe. Yes or no, counselor? Felix's lawyer deflated. No, Your Honor. Mrs. Blake, the judge turned to me, did you ever explicitly lie to your husband about your financial status? No, Your Honor. Felix assumed I worked part-time. He never asked about my other business ventures. Because she hid them, Felix burst out, standing. She played me for a fool. Mr. Montgomery, Judge Martinez warned, control yourself. This isn't fair, Felix's voice cracked. She has everything, and I have nothing. Your Honor, Sarah produced a document. Mr. Montgomery insisted on this prenup. His own emails state he wanted to protect his assets from, quote, gold diggers like Emily. The courtroom fell silent. Felix slumped in his chair. Furthermore, Sarah continued, Mrs. Blake's business activities all predated the marriage. The prenup, drafted by Mr. Montgomery's attorneys, specifically protected separately held assets. Your Honor, please, Felix stood again. I don't know who I am without her. Sit down, Mr. Montgomery. Judge Martinez reviewed the documents. This prenup is valid and binding. Motion to contest is denied. No, you don't understand. Felix moved toward me. Emily, please, I'll do anything. The bailiff stepped forward, but I held up my hand. It's okay. Let him speak. Felix's eyes were desperate. We can start over. I'll get a real job. I'll be better. Like you promised Vada? That was different. I love you. No, I said quietly. You loved what I could give you. There's a difference. Mrs. Blake is correct, Judge Martinez interjected. And this hearing is over. The prenuptial agreement stands. Outside the courtroom, Felix caught up to me one last time. What am I supposed to do now? He asked, his voice small. Get a job, Ruby suggested, like the rest of us. I don't even have a place to live. Actually, I turned to face him, I have a proposition. He perked up instantly. Hope flickered in his eyes. There's a studio apartment available in Building C, I said. Basic, but clean. Affordable rent. You'd let me stay? As a tenant, regular lease, regular rules, no special treatment. Why would you do this? Because someone needs to break this cycle, I replied. And it might as well be me. Ruby pulled out a lease agreement. Standard terms, first and last month's rent required. You'll need to prove income. Felix stared at the paper. I don't have any money. Then get a job, I said simply. The apartment will be available when you can afford it, like everyone else. Emily. He reached for my hand, but I stepped back. This is business, Felix, nothing more. Take it or leave it. He took the lease with trembling fingers. I don't know how to start over. Yes, you do, I corrected. You just never had to before. As we walked away, Ruby shook her head. That was generous, maybe too generous. Maybe, I agreed, but this way he has to earn everything, no more shortcuts. My phone buzzed. Vada calling about the Riverside property plans. The contractor's here, she reported, ready to discuss the renovation for the Women's Center? On my way, I replied. Nicole's joining us too. She has great ideas for the program. Ruby smiled as we left the courthouse. From taking revenge to giving chances, you're full of surprises. Not revenge, I corrected. Justice, and maybe a little hope. Outside, the spring air felt different, cleaner somehow. 5 years of pretense had ended in a 15-minute hearing. Felix would have to rebuild his life from scratch, just like he'd forced others to do. But this time, He'd have to do it honestly. And maybe, just maybe, that would make all the difference. "Ready?" Ruby asked, holding the car door. I looked back at the courthouse one last time. Ready to build something new. The Riverside property buzzed with activity as construction crews finished the final touches on the Women's Center. Vada stood beside me, reviewing the checklist on her tablet. 20 fully furnished apartments, she noted. Financial literacy classroom, business center, and career counseling office. We're ready for opening day. Almost ready, I corrected, watching Nicole direct the installation of the lobby sign. New Beginnings Center, a place to rebuild. Ruby burst through the front doors. "Emily, you need to see this." She handed me her phone, an email from Felix. My finger hovered over delete, but the subject line caught my eye. "Thank you." "He got the job," Ruby explained. "Entry-level accounting at that firm downtown. Started last week." "And paid his first month's rent," Nash added, joining us with the tenant ledger. "On time, in full." I handed the phone back without reading the email. Some chapters needed to stay closed. "Andrea called too," Nicole said, walking over. "She's enrolled in a bookkeeping course at the community college. Says she's learning to stand on her own feet." "Speaking of standing, Gachan," Vada interrupted, "our first residents arrive in an hour. Should we do one final walkthrough?" We toured the building together, my team, my friends, my support system. Each apartment represented a fresh start. Each classroom, a new skill to learn. Each office, a chance to grow. The rooftop garden was my favorite space. Looking out over the city, I could see all 4 of my buildings, but this one was different. This one wasn't about making money or proving points. "First group's here," Ruby called from the stairwell. Downstairs, 7 women waited in the lobby, carrying bags and boxes. Their faces showed different stories: divorce, job loss, starting over. I recognized that look. I'd worn it myself once. "Welcome to New Beginnings," I said, stepping forward. "I'm Emily. This is your home for as long as you need it." "We can't afford much," one woman admitted, clutching her paperwork. "That's why we're here," Vada explained. "Affordable housing while you rebuild. Career training, financial education, whatever you need to start fresh." "Why are you doing this?" another asked. "What's the catch?" "No catch," Jirai assured them. "Just women helping women break cycles." Nicole started the tours while Ruby handled paperwork. I watched them all, my past self reflected in their uncertain steps, my present self in their determination to change. "Excuse me," a quiet voice behind me. I turned to find a young woman, barely 25. "Are you really the owner?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I heard stories," she twisted her hands together, "about how you built all this while pretending to be powerless, how you turned the tables on people who underestimated you." "Those stories aren't the point," I said gently. "The point is what you'll build next." "I don't know how." "That's why we're here." I gestured to the classroom where Vada was setting up tomorrow's first financial literacy session. "To show you how." My phone buzzed. A text from Nash. Felix paid next month's rent early, asked about financial literacy classes. I showed the message to Ruby. "Should we?" "Your call," she shrugged. "It's your empire." "No," I corrected. "It's not about empire anymore. It's about change." I texted Nash back. "Send him the class schedule. Everyone deserves a chance to learn." The lobby filled with voices as more women arrived. Nicole guided tours, Vada explained programs, Ruby processed paperwork. This was what winning really looked like, not destroying others, but building something stronger. "Ready for the ribbon cutting?" Vada asked, scissors in hand. I looked around at my team, at Ruby, who'd believed in me from the start, at Vada, who'd helped me face the truth, at Nicole, who'd chosen right over easy, at Nash, who'd kept everything running smoothly. "Actually," I handed the scissors to the young woman who'd asked about the stories, "would you like to do the honors?" She took them with shaking hands. "But I just got here." "Exactly," I smiled. This is your new beginning, too. The ribbon fell. Applause filled the lobby. And somewhere in the city, Felix sat in his studio apartment, learning to stand on his own feet, while Andrea studied for a future she'd have to earn. But here, in this building, something new was growing. Something stronger than revenge, more powerful than justice, more lasting than victory. Hope, change, beginning again. Welcome home, I told the gathered women. Let's build something amazing together. And in their eyes, I saw my own reflection, not as I had been, small and pretending, but as I was now, powerful, free, ready to help others find their strength. This was the real happy ending, not just winning, but transforming victory into opportunity for others. This was just the beginning.
I stared at Dallas across our kitchen island, certain I'd misheard him. The morning sunlight streaming through our bay windows felt suddenly cold, and my coffee mug trembled in my hands. What do you mean you use the house as collateral? Look, Marlo, it's not as bad as it sounds, Dallas said, casually buttering his toast like he hadn't just demolished our entire life. I had a system. The odds were in my favor. I just needed a little more time. My name is Marlo Kent, and this is how I discovered my husband of 8 years had gambled away our home. A system? My voice cracked. You had a system for betting away everything we've worked for? Dallas's shoulders tensed, but his voice remained irritatingly calm. The casino manager assured me. The casino manager? I slammed my mug down, coffee sloshing onto the marble countertop. Since when do you take financial advice from people whose job it is to take your money? You're overreacting, he said, checking his phone. I can fix this, I just need to make a few calls. I grabbed his phone, my hands shaking. How much? Marlo. How? Much. He sighed, running his fingers through his hair, a gesture that used to make my heart flutter but now made me want to scream. 450,000. The room spun. That was more than our mortgage, more than we had in savings, more than... A sharp knock at the front door made us both jump. Dallas's face went pale. Who is that? I asked, though I already knew. The way Dallas wouldn't meet my eyes told me everything. Just stay here, he muttered, heading for the door. I followed him anyway, my bare feet silent on the hardwood floors. A tall man in an expensive suit stood on our porch, his presence somehow making our front entrance feel smaller. Mr. Kent, the man said, his voice professionally detached. I'm Carson Flores from Metropolitan Collections. May I come in? Dallas stepped aside, and I watched as the man who would take our home walked past the family photos I'd carefully arranged on the walls. Photos of happier times when I thought I knew who my husband was. Mrs. Kent, Carson nodded at me. I'm here regarding the property deed used as collateral for your husband's marker at the Grand Casino. I never signed anything, I blurted out. Carson's eyebrows rose slightly as he pulled documents from his briefcase. Actually, Mrs. Kent, your signature is right here. I snatched the paper, my heart stopping as I recognized my signature on a document I'd never seen before. The date beside it was from 3 months ago when I'd been signing papers for our refinancing. You slipped this in with the refinancing documents? I turned to Dallas, my voice barely a whisper. You planned this? Baby, I can explain. Don't baby me. I turned back to Carson. This can't be legal. He tricked me into signing. I'm afraid that's a matter for the courts, Carson replied, not unkindly. For now, the document is binding. You have 72 hours to vacate the premises. 72 hours? The room was definitely spinning now. This is our home. We can't just... I understand this is difficult, Carson said, placing his business card on our coffee table. But Mr. Kent agreed to these terms when he took the marker. I watched Dallas sink into our couch, the one we'd picked out together on our 5th anniversary, his head in his hands, but I felt no sympathy, only rage. Get out, I said quietly. Dallas looked up. Marlo. Get out. My voice was stronger now. Pack a bag and get out of my house. Our house, he corrected weakly. And technically, in 3 days, it won't be either of ours. I grabbed my phone, my fingers already finding Gianna's number. You lost the right to call it our anything the moment you forged my signature. Now get out before I call the police and report you for fraud. You wouldn't try me. Something in my voice must have convinced him because he stood up slowly, looking between me and Carson. I'll get some things, he mumbled, heading upstairs. Carson cleared his throat. Mrs. Kent, I'll need you to initial these. Get out too, I said, my phone already ringing. You can come back in 72 hours, but right now I need you to leave. After they both left, I sank to the floor, my back against the front door. Gianna's voice came through the phone, cheerful and unaware. Hey girl, what's up? Gianna, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I need your help. Dallas just confessed to gambling away our house, and I have 72 hours to figure out how to save it. There was a pause, then Gianna's voice came back, steel in her tone. I'm on my way. Don't move. And Marlo? We're going to fix this. For the first time since Dallas's confession, I felt a glimmer of hope. Not because I believed we could save the house, but because I knew in that moment that I wasn't alone. Gianna arrived 20 minutes later with Eleanor in tow, both of them carrying paper bags from my favorite bakery and determined expressions on their faces. I hadn't moved from my spot on the floor. First things first, Gianna said, pulling me up. We're going to eat these croissants, drink some coffee, and then we're going to destroy your husband. Eleanor was already in my kitchen pulling out mugs. Where is the bastard anyway? Gone. I kicked him out. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. He took some clothes and left. Good, Gianna nodded, spreading papers across my kitchen island, the same spot where Dallas had dropped his bomb just hours ago. Now tell us everything. Between bites of chocolate croissant and sips of the strongest coffee Eleanor had ever made, I recounted the morning's events. When I got to the part about the forged signature, Eleanor's husband Zane called. Put him on speaker, Eleanor said, answering her phone. Zane's a real estate attorney. He needs to hear this. I repeated the story, my voice stronger this time. When I finished, there was a long pause on the other end. Zane, I prompted. Please tell me there's something we can do. Actually, his voice crackled through the speaker, there might be. The refinancing documents, do you have copies? I nodded, then remembered he couldn't see me. Yes, in my home office. Get them, now. I ran upstairs, my heart pounding. When I returned with the thick folder, Gianna was already taking photos of the gambling marker documents Carson had left behind. Okay, Zane said after I described the refinancing paperwork. Here's the thing. If Dallas slipped in that gambling document during your refinancing, there's a good chance it wasn't properly notarized. The refinancing would have had a notary present, but the gambling document would have been notarized separately, Eleanor finished, understanding lighting up her face. Marlo, do you remember signing anything in front of a notary that wasn't related to the refinancing? No, I said, my hands shaking as I flipped through the papers, just the mortgage stuff. Look at the notary stamps, Zane instructed. Compare the dates and times. Gianna leaned over my shoulder as I laid out the documents side by side. Holy shit, she whispered. The refinancing documents were all stamped by the notary at 2:15 p.m. on March 15th. The gambling marker document with my forged signature was supposedly notarized at 2:20 p.m. by the same notary. That's impossible, Eleanor said, pointing at the stamps. No notary would stamp documents 5 minutes apart without you physically being there. They have to witness the signature. Exactly, Zane said triumphantly. Marlo, you need a lawyer, a good one. This is fraud, plain and simple. I know someone, Gianna said, already pulling out her phone. Nicole Blake. She handled my sister's divorce last year, and she's ruthless. She specializes in cases involving financial fraud. My hands were still shaking, but now with anger rather than fear. Will this be enough to stop them from taking the house? It should at least buy you time, Zane replied. They can't evict you while there's pending litigation about the validity of the document. Eleanor grabbed my hand. You hear that? You're not losing this house in 72 hours. Nicole can see you in an hour, Gianna announced, ending her call. I'm driving. I'll email you everything I know about notary fraud cases, Zane added. Eleanor, make sure Marlo brings all the documentation. As my friends moved into action around me, gathering papers and making calls, I felt something shift inside me. The devastation of the morning was morphing into something else, something harder and more determined. "There's one more thing," I said, making them all pause. "I want to press charges against Dallas." Gianna's face broke into a fierce grin. "Now that's the Marlowe I know." "He's going to try to come back," Eleanor warned. "Men like that always do, once they realize they've lost control." "Let him try," I said, surprising myself with the steel in my voice. "I'm changing the locks today." "I'll call my locksmith," Gianna said, already dialing. "He can be here in 30 minutes. "And I'm staying here tonight," Eleanor added. No arguments. I looked at my friends, really looked at them. Gianna, who'd survived her own husband's betrayal 3 years ago and come out stronger. Eleanor, who'd supported her through it all while building her own happy marriage with Zane. They weren't just here to help. They were here to fight. "Okay," I said, gathering the documents into my bag. "Let's go see Nicole." As we headed for Gianna's car, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the window. I expected to see the same broken woman who'd collapsed on the floor this morning. Instead, I saw someone different, someone stronger, someone angry, someone ready to fight back. Dallas had no idea what was coming. Nicole's office was exactly what you'd expect from someone Gianna described as ruthless. All clean lines and sharp edges, with degrees and certifications covering one wall and a view of downtown from the other. The lawyer herself matched her surroundings, dressed in a crisp charcoal suit with not a hair out of place. "So," Nicole said, spreading our documents across her glass desk, "your husband forged your signature to use your house as gambling collateral." She wasn't asking a question. "Yes," I replied, gripping my armrest. "Can you help?" Nicole's perfectly manicured nail tapped the notary stamps. "This is amateur hour fraud, the kind of mistake people make when they think they're smarter than the system." She looked up at me. "Did your husband always think he was the smartest person in the room?" I let out a bitter laugh. "You have no idea." "Actually, I do." Nicole pulled out a tablet, swiping through documents. "I did some research before you arrived. Your husband has quite a history at the Grand Casino. Multiple markers, all paid off just in time, until now. He's been dancing on this edge for years." My stomach lurched. "Years?" "The good news is this works in our favor." Nicole turned her tablet around, showing me a spreadsheet of dates and amounts. The casino knew his pattern. They knew he was a risk, yet they still accepted your house as collateral with obviously fraudulent documentation. They're liable. Gianna, who'd insisted on staying for the meeting, leaned forward. "So what's our next move?" "First, we file an emergency injunction to stop the eviction." Nicole was already typing on her computer. "Then we countersue both Dallas and the casino for fraud." "Countersue?" I asked. "They threw the first punch when they sent Carson to your house," Nicole explained, not looking up from her screen. "We're just hitting back harder." A notification pinged on her computer. "Perfect timing. Judge Martinez is available for an emergency hearing in 2 hours. She hates gambling fraud cases. This will work in our favor." 2 hours? My voice cracked. "I'm not prepared for—" "Yes, you are," Nicole cut me off, standing up. "You're wearing a professional outfit, you have all the documentation, and you have me. That's all you need." She wasn't wrong about my outfit. Gianna had insisted I change into a blazer and pencil skirt before coming to the office. "Looking powerful helps you feel powerful," she'd said. "What about Dallas?" I asked. "Should we notify him?" "Let him sweat," Nicole said, gathering papers into her briefcase. "He'll find out soon enough when the casino's lawyers contact him." 2 hours later, I sat in Judge Martinez's chambers, trying not to fidget as Nicole presented our case. The judge, a stern-faced woman with reading glasses perched on her nose, examined the notary stamps with growing displeasure. "This is sloppy," she muttered, reaching for another document. "Embarrassingly sloppy." The casino's lawyer, a nervous-looking man who'd clearly been called in last minute, cleared his throat. "Your Honor, while we acknowledge there might be some irregularities in the documentation—" "Irregularities?" Judge Martinez peered at him over her glasses. Counselor, this is textbook fraud. Your client accepted clearly falsified documents for a 6-figure transaction. That's not an irregularity. That's negligence at best, complicity at worst. I watched as the casino's lawyer seemed to shrink in his chair. Furthermore, the judge continued, attempting to evict Mrs. Kent based on these fraudulent documents shows a disturbing lack of due diligence on your client's part. Nicole sat beside me, radiating calm confidence as Judge Martinez picked up her pen. I'm granting the emergency injunction. The eviction notice is suspended pending full investigation of these documents. She fixed the casino's lawyer with a stern look. I strongly suggest your clients consider their position carefully before we reconvene. This could get very expensive for them very quickly. As we left the courthouse, Nicole was already on her phone. I'm having the injunction served to Carson immediately. He can't come within 100 feet of your property until this is resolved. What about Dallas? I asked. Oh, he'll be served too. Nicole's smile was predatory. At every possible address we can find for him. Work, gym, his favorite bars, everywhere. Gianna squeezed my arm. How does it feel? I took a deep breath of the afternoon air. Like I can finally breathe again. Good, Nicole said, ending her call. Because we're just getting started. The casino will probably try to settle. They can't afford this kind of publicity, but first, they'll try to pressure Dallas into fixing this mess. He can't fix this, I said firmly. There's no going back. No, Nicole agreed, checking another incoming message. There isn't. And speaking of no going back, the locksmith just confirmed he's finished changing all your locks. Would you like me to have the new keys sent to Dallas's lawyer, or should we make him beg for them? For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt myself smile. Let him beg. The first text from Dallas came at 3 a.m., 3 days after the emergency injunction. My phone buzzed against my nightstand, lighting up the darkness. You're ruining everything, it read. The casino's lawyers are threatening to come after me personally. I switched my phone to silent and went back to sleep. By morning, there were 12 more messages, each more desperate than the last. I forwarded them all to Nicole without reading them and headed downstairs, where Eleanor was already making coffee. She'd insisted on staying with me until things settled down. Your ex is camping out in his car down the street, she said, sliding a mug across the counter. Want me to call the police? I shook my head. Nicole says we should document everything, let him dig his own grave. My phone rang. Nicole's office. The casino's lawyers reached out, she said without preamble. They want to meet. Today. That was fast. They've probably run a cost analysis on fighting this in court. Turn on your TV, check any business news channel. I grabbed the remote and Eleanor moved closer as I flipped to the news. There it was, scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Grand Casino faces fraud investigation. Stock drops 12% in early trading. Holy shit, Eleanor whispered. Exactly, Nicole said through the phone. They're bleeding money every hour this stays in the news. I've arranged a meeting for 2 p.m. Wear something intimidating. The casino's conference room felt colder than it needed to be, probably to match the icy stares from their legal team. Dallas sat on their side of the table looking like he hadn't slept in days. Good. Mrs. Kent, their lead lawyer began, we're prepared to offer... Actually, Nicole cut in smoothly, before we discuss numbers, my client has some non-negotiable terms. I sat up straighter, remembering Nicole's coaching from earlier. Let them see your strength, not your anger. First, Nicole continued, the Grand Casino will publicly acknowledge their failure to properly verify documentation in this case. Second, they will implement new verification procedures to prevent similar fraud. Third, they will forgive all of Mr. Kent's gambling debts. Dallas's head snapped up. The casino's lawyers shifted uncomfortably. And why? Their lead lawyer asked. Would we agree to forgive Mr. Kent's debts? Because, I said, finding my voice, if you don't, I'll testify about how your casino staff encouraged his gambling, despite knowing his addiction, about how they offered him private rooms, special markers, unlimited credit, all while watching him spiral. The room temperature seemed to drop another 10 degrees. You can't prove any of that, one of their lawyers said. I pulled out my phone, playing a video Dallas had sent me months ago, him bragging about his VIP treatment, the casino manager clearly visible in the background pouring champagne. I have dozens of these, I said, even though I didn't. Dallas loved documenting his success. Dallas looked like he might be sick. The casino's legal team huddled together, whispering urgently. One more thing, Nicole added, her voice carrying across their whispers. My client wants the house deed cleared of all gambling-related claims. Immediately. Their lead lawyer straightened his tie. We'll need time to consider. You have until 5 p.m., Nicole interrupted. After that, I have 3 major news networks very interested in interviewing my client about predatory gambling practices. We left them scrambling, Dallas staring at the table like it might swallow him whole. In the elevator, Nicole checked her watch. They'll cave by 4:30. They can't risk more bad press. What about Dallas? I asked. Won't this just enable him to keep gambling? No, Nicole smiled, because part of the agreement they'll sign includes banning him from all their properties, standard procedure for fraud cases. Back home, Eleanor had gathered Gianna and Zane for support. We sat around my kitchen island, my island, waiting for Nicole's call. At 4:15, my phone rang. They agreed to everything, Nicole said. I'm sending over the paperwork now. The house is yours, free and clear. Dallas's debts are forgiven, and he's banned from the casino. And the public statement? I asked. Tomorrow morning. They're calling it a voluntary review of verification procedures. Corporate speak for we messed up. After I hung up, Gianna pulled out a bottle of champagne she'd been hiding. I knew we'd need this. As we celebrated, a knock at the door made us all freeze. Through the window, I could see Dallas standing there, looking lost. Want me to get rid of him? Zane offered. I shook my head, grabbing an envelope from my desk drawer, the one containing divorce papers I'd had Nicole prepare days ago. No, I said, walking to the door. I've got this. The champagne could wait. First, I had some papers for Dallas to sign. Dallas looked smaller somehow, standing on my porch with his shoulders hunched. The confident swagger that had once attracted me was gone, replaced by something desperate and pathetic. Marlo, he started, I can explain. Save it. I held up the envelope. These are divorce papers. Sign them. He stared at the envelope like it might bite him. Can we talk about this? Inside? No. I stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind me. Through the window, I could see my friends watching, ready to intervene if needed. We're doing this here. The casino banned me, he said, running his hands through his unwashed hair. I can't even get my stuff from the hotel. My cards are all declined. That sounds like a you problem. Baby, please. Don't. My voice was sharp enough to make him flinch. You forged my signature. You gambled away our home. You betrayed every ounce of trust I had in you. There's nothing left to say. I did it for us, his voice cracked. I was trying to make things better, give us the life you deserved. By lying to me, I thrust the envelope against his chest. By risking everything we built together without even talking to me. I was going to tell you when I won big. A laugh escaped me, harsh and bitter. When you won big? That's what every gambling addict says, Dallas. Just one more hand. The next bet will be different. I have a system. His face darkened. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. I stepped closer, my voice low and steady. I loved you. I trusted you. I would have helped you if you'd just been honest. Instead, you chose to lie, to steal, to betray me in the worst possible way. Behind me, I heard the door open slightly. Zane's voice carried quietly. Everything okay out here? We're fine, I called back, not taking my eyes off Dallas. He was just about to sign these papers. Dallas glanced at the door, then back at me. You've got quite the support system now. I always did. I just didn't need them until you showed me exactly who you are. He took the envelope, hands shaking slightly. I don't have anywhere to go. The casino forgave your debts. You're getting a clean slate, which is more than you deserve. What you do with it is not my problem anymore. I pulled a pen from my pocket and held it out. Dallas stared at it for a long moment before taking it. There's a notary inside, I said. Sign them now, and this can all be over. Over? He laughed weakly. Just like that? 8 years of marriage, just over. It was over the moment you slipped that forged document into the refinancing papers. You just didn't tell me. The pen shook in his hand as he signed, each signature looking more defeated than the last. When he finished, I called for the notary, a different one from the refinancing, of course. She came out, stamped the documents, and disappeared back inside without a word. So that's it? Dallas asked, handing back the pen. That's it? I gathered the papers. Your lawyer will get copies tomorrow. Don't come back here, Dallas. Don't call. Don't text. It's done. Marlowe. Goodbye, Dallas. I turned and walked back inside, closing the door firmly behind me. Through the window, I watched him stand there for a moment, looking lost before finally turning and walking away. You okay? Gianna asked, appearing at my side with a fresh glass of champagne. Actually, yes. I took the glass, surprised to find I was telling the truth. I really am. Eleanor raised her glass. To new beginnings. And to karma, Gianna added with a grin. To both, I agreed, clinking my glass against theirs. Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from Nicole. Casino's PR statement just went live. Turn on the news. We crowded around the TV, watching as the Grand Casino's CEO made a carefully worded statement about reviewing internal procedures and strengthening verification protocols. The stock ticker at the bottom showed their shares falling another 8%. They're going to lose millions over this, Zane commented, whistling low. Good, I said, taking another sip of champagne. Maybe it'll make them think twice before enabling the next gambling addict who walks through their doors. Speaking of thinking twice, Eleanor said, what are you going to do with the house now? Stay or sell? I looked around at the space that had almost been taken from me, the photos I'd hung, the memories I'd made, the life I'd built. But now, instead of seeing what I'd almost lost, I saw possibility. I'm staying, I said firmly. But first, I'm redecorating. Everything Dallas picked out is going to charity. Gianna grinned, already pulling up interior design websites on her phone. Now that sounds like a project I can get behind. Tomorrow, I said, refilling our glasses. Tonight, we celebrate. And we did, letting the champagne flow as Dallas's shadow finally began to fade from my home. 3 weeks after the divorce papers were signed, I was knee-deep in paint samples and furniture catalogues when the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Carson, the debt collector, standing on my porch with an uncomfortable expression. Mrs. Kent, he said when I opened the door, I owe you an apology. I leaned against the doorframe, paint swatches still in my hand. For trying to evict me from my own home? For not verifying the documentation more thoroughly? He shifted his weight. I've been fired from Metropolitan Collections. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, surprised to find I meant it. But you were just doing your job. That's actually why I'm here. He pulled out a business card. I'm starting my own consulting firm, helping people identify and prevent fraud. Would you consider sharing your story at some of my seminars? Your experience could help others avoid similar situations. Before I could respond, a familiar car pulled into my driveway. Dallas stepped out looking better than he had on the porch 3 weeks ago, cleaned up, wearing a new suit. Marlowe, he called out, striding toward the door. We need to talk. Carson turned, positioning himself between Dallas and the door. Sir, I believe you should leave. This is between me and my wife. Ex-wife, I corrected, pulling out my phone. And you're not supposed to be here. I got a job, Dallas said quickly. A real one, at an investment firm downtown. I'm getting help for the gambling. I'm fixing things. Good for you, I replied, already dialing Nicole's number. But that has nothing to do with me. The house is still in both our names, he said. I checked. The divorce isn't final yet. Carson stepped forward. Sir, as someone familiar with property law, I can assure you that the court order specifically— Stay out of this, Dallas snapped. This is your fault too. If you'd just given us more time. The only person at fault here is you, I cut in, phone to my ear. Nicole, Dallas is at my house. Yes, right now. Perfect. Thank you. Dallas's face fell. You called your lawyer? And the police, I added. They should be here in about 3 minutes. Would you like to leave before they arrive? You can't just erase 8 years, he said, his voice rising. I made a mistake, but I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to be better. I'm glad you're getting help, I said. And I was. But your recovery isn't my responsibility, neither are you. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Please, Dallas tried one last time. Just give me another chance. Like the chances you gave our marriage before gambling it away? I shook my head. Go home, Dallas, whatever that means for you now. The police car pulled up and 2 officers stepped out. I recognized one of them, Officer Sarah, who'd taken my statement about the fraud. Everything okay here, Mrs. Kent? She asked, approaching the porch. Mr. Kent was just leaving, Carson answered for me, his tone professional but firm. Dallas looked between the officers, Carson and me, finally accepting defeat. His shoulders slumped as he walked back to his car. Would you like to press charges? Officer Sarah asked. This could be considered harassment. I watched Dallas's car disappear around the corner. Not this time, but I wanted on record that he showed up. After the police left, Carson handed me his card again. Think about what I said. Your story could help a lot of people. I'll consider it, I said, tucking the card into my pocket. And Carson? Thanks for staying. He nodded. Sometimes the worst situations bring out the best allies. Inside, I looked at the paint swatches in my hand, warm, bright colours to replace Dallas's preferred dark tones. My phone buzzed with a text from Gianna. Heard what happened, coming over with wine and pizza. Eleanor's bringing paint rollers. Another text came through, this one from Nicole. Filing a restraining order first thing tomorrow. No more surprise visits. I texted back quick thanks to both, then walked through my house. My house with its half-painted walls and boxes of Dallas's things headed for donation. Each room held memories, but they didn't hurt anymore. They were just stories now, lessons learned, chapters closed. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Gianna, Eleanor, and, surprisingly, Nicole, all carrying supplies for an impromptu painting party. We figured you shouldn't be alone tonight, Eleanor said, setting down paint rollers. Plus, Gianna added, holding up 2 bottles of wine, these walls aren't going to paint themselves. Nicole pulled out some papers. And while we work, you can sign this restraining order. I looked at these women, my friends, my defenders, my support system, and felt something settle in my chest. Dallas might have taken my trust, but he'd given me something unexpected in return. The knowledge that I was stronger than I'd ever imagined, and I wasn't alone. Let's paint, I said, reaching for a roller. I'm thinking yellow for the living room. New day, new start. 6 months after Dallas's surprise visit, I stood in my freshly renovated kitchen, preparing for a dinner party. The yellow walls glowed in the evening light, and new family photos, ones without Dallas, lined the hallway. The doorbell rang just as I was pulling lasagna from the oven. Gianna walked in without waiting for an answer, carrying a bottle of wine and a thick envelope. You're not going to believe what came in the mail today, she said, dropping the envelope on my new kitchen island. I recognized the law firm's letterhead immediately. The final divorce papers? Better. She grinned. Open it. Inside was a check, a large one, along with a letter from the Grand Casino's legal team. Holy shit, I whispered, staring at the numbers. Is this real? Very. Nicole walked in through the still-open door, looking pleased with herself. The casino's board decided to settle the civil suit we filed. That's your compensation for emotional damages, plus a little extra to keep quiet about the specifics. Eleanor and Zane arrived next, carrying dessert. Did she open it? Eleanor asked excitedly. You all knew about this? Nicole told us this morning, Zane admitted. We wanted to be here when you found out. I sat down hard on one of my new bar stools. This would pay off the entire mortgage. And then some, Nicole added, accepting a glass of wine from Gianna. You could sell this place? Buy something new without any memories attached? No, I said firmly, surprising myself with how quickly the answer came. This is my home. I fought for it. I'm staying. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Carson, carrying a folder of his own. "Sorry I'm late," he said. "Had to finish the presentation slides for next week's seminar." He looked at the check still in my hand. "Ah, you got the settlement. Perfect timing." I'd agreed to speak at Carson's fraud prevention seminars. It turned out telling my story was therapeutic, and the extra income didn't hurt either. "Speaking of timing," Nicole said, pulling out her phone, "you might want to see this." She pulled up a news article. "Investment firm terminates employee over undisclosed gambling history." There was Dallas's picture looking shell-shocked outside his new office building. "He lied on his application," Nicole explained. "Didn't disclose the casino incident. Someone tipped off his employers." "Did you?" I started to ask. "Not me," she said with a small smile. "Karma doesn't need my help." The evening progressed, filled with good food, better wine, and the kind of laughter that only comes from being surrounded by true friends. As we sat around my dining room table, a beautiful handcrafted piece I'd chosen myself, Carson raised his glass. "To new beginnings," he said, "and to Marlowe, who turned a nightmare into an inspiration for others." "To Marlowe," they echoed. "Actually," I said, pulling out my own folder, "I have an announcement too. I've been working with a financial advisor. I'm starting a foundation." "A foundation?" Eleanor leaned forward. "For gambling addiction awareness and fraud prevention, using part of the settlement money." I spread out the paperwork. "We'll work with families affected by gambling addiction, provide legal support, offer counselling." "That's amazing," Gianna whispered, looking through the plans. "I want you all involved," I continued. "Nicole, we'll need legal expertise. Carson, your fraud prevention experience is crucial. Gianna, Eleanor, your support group connections would be invaluable. Zane, we'll need help with the real estate aspects when we're helping families save their homes." They were all quiet for a moment, taking it in. "You're really doing this?" Nicole asked. "Using what happened to help others?" "Why not?" I shrugged. "Dallas took enough from me. I'm done letting that define my story. It's time to write a new one." "Count me in," Carson said immediately. "This fits perfectly with what I'm already doing." One by one, they all agreed. As they discussed possibilities and plans, I looked around my dining room. 6 months ago, I'd thought I was losing everything. Instead, I'd gained something priceless: purpose. The doorbell rang one final time. It was Sarah, the police officer, off duty and carrying a bottle of wine. "Hope I'm not too late," she said. "Got held up at work." "Perfect timing," I said, ushering her in. "We're just starting to plan a revolution." As we brought Sarah up to speed, I caught my reflection in the window. The woman looking back wasn't the same one who'd collapsed on her floor all those months ago. She was stronger, wiser, and finally, completely free. Dallas had tried to take my home, but he'd accidentally given me something better, a mission, and surrounded by these people, my chosen family, I knew we were going to change lives, starting with mine. The morning sun streamed through my office windows as I reviewed applications for the Foundation's latest housing assistance program. A knock on my door made me look up to find Gianna standing there, practically vibrating with excitement. "Turn on the news," she said, grabbing the remote. "Right now." The Grand Casino's CEO appeared on screen, looking uncomfortable as camera flashes lit up his face. The headline scrolling beneath him read, "Major casino chain announces new addiction prevention measures." "Following recent events and community feedback," he was saying, "we're implementing comprehensive changes to our responsible gaming policies. This includes stricter verification procedures, enhanced addiction screening, and mandatory cooling-off periods for high-risk players." "They're using our guidelines," I whispered, "the exact ones we proposed." "Keep watching," Gianna said, perching on my desk. The camera panned to show Nicole standing at the podium, looking fierce in her signature blazer. "As legal counsel for the Kent Foundation, we're pleased to see the Grand Casino taking these crucial steps. However, we'll be monitoring their implementation closely to ensure these aren't just empty promises." My phone buzzed. Eleanor sending a group text. "They caved. Celebration dinner tonight." Before I could respond, Carson appeared in my doorway. "Have you seen—" "We're watching it now," Gianna interrupted, pointing at the screen. "This is just the first casino," Carson said, grinning. "3 more have reached out to me about implementing our prevention program." The news segment ended with a shot of our foundation's logo and a brief overview of our work. As they cut back to regular programming, my office phone rang. The caller ID showed a number I hadn't seen in months. "Dallas," I said, putting it on speaker. "I saw you on the news," his voice crackled through. "The foundation. It's incredible." "What do you want, Dallas?" he sighed. "To apologize. For real this time. I'm 6 months clean now, working with a gambling addiction counselor. She thinks maybe I could help." "With the foundation?" Gianna and Carson exchanged looks as I considered his words. "Send your counselor's contact information to Nicole," I said finally. "If she vouches for your recovery, we might have a place for you in our peer support program, as a volunteer, nothing more." "Thank you," he said quietly. "And Marlo? I'm sorry for everything." "I know," I replied, and was surprised to feel no pain, no anger, just acceptance. "Good luck with your recovery, Dallas." After hanging up, Gianna squeezed my shoulder. "You okay?" "Actually, yes." I stood up, gathering my papers. "We have that speaking engagement at the community centre in an hour. We should get going." The community centre was packed. Families affected by gambling addiction, social workers, counsellors, even a few familiar faces from the casino industry. As I took the podium, I saw Sarah and Eleanor slipping in at the back, giving me thumbs up. "6 months ago," I began, "I thought losing my home was the worst thing that could happen to me. I was wrong. The worst thing would have been staying silent about it." The room was completely quiet now. Every week someone comes to our foundation with a story like mine. Homes lost, families torn apart, lives destroyed by addiction and fraud. But here's what I've learned. Rock bottom can become a foundation if you build on it right. I gestured to my team, Gianna managing our support programs, Carson teaching fraud prevention, Nicole handling legal advocacy, Eleanor and Zane working with housing assistance. We can't change the past, but we can change the future. Today's announcement from the Grand Casino proves that change is possible, recovery is possible, justice is possible. After the presentation, a young woman approached me, clutching papers that looked painfully familiar. "My husband," she started, tears in her eyes. "He forged my signature on—" "Come with me," I said gently, leading her to Nicole's office. "We can help." That evening, as we gathered for our celebration dinner, this time at Gianna's house, I looked around at these people who'd become so much more than friends. Eleanor and Zane discussing expansion plans for our housing program, Nicole reviewing new casino regulations with Carson, Sarah sharing stories from her fraud task force. "Speech," Gianna called out, raising her glass. I stood feeling the weight of my house keys in my pocket, keys to a home that was truly, finally mine. "To rock bottom," I said, raising my glass, "and to the family we build on the way back up." "To family," they echoed. Outside, the sun was setting on another day of changing lives, including my own. Dallas had tried to destroy my world, but instead, he'd helped me create something bigger than myself, something that mattered. Sometimes losing everything is just the beginning of finding something better. I'd lost a house and found a mission, lost a husband and found a family, lost my way and found my purpose. And that, I realized as I looked at my chosen family, was the best revenge of all.
The letter trembles in my hands, the familiar letterhead of Parker Industries mocking me after 5 years of silence. My father's signature, once a symbol of authority that made me cower, now looks desperate and shaky. I almost laugh at the irony. I'm Lexi, and the last time I saw my father, he was throwing my engineering degree in my face, telling me I was dead to him. All because I refused to marry the son of his business partner, choosing instead to pursue my dreams of becoming an engineer. "You're really going to open that?" Ben asks, peering over my shoulder. His presence steadies me, as it has since we met in graduate school. "I have to know," I whisper, tearing the envelope. The words blur together at first, but certain phrases jump out. "Dire circumstances. Need your expertise. Family legacy at stake. My father, the mighty Brian Parker, is begging for my help. Well, Ben's voice is gentle. He knows what this means to me. He's desperate, I say, dropping the letter on our kitchen counter. The company's failing. He needs an engineering expert to salvage their new sustainable energy project. And naturally, he comes crawling to you now. Ben's usually kind face hardens. He was there to pick up the pieces after my father disowned me. The memory floods back unbidden. An arranged marriage, Lexi. Do you know what this alliance could mean for our family? My father's voice had boomed through his study. Instead, you waste your time with this engineering nonsense. It's my life, I had screamed back. I won't let you sell me off like property. His face had turned purple. Then you are no longer my daughter. My Aunt Nancy's call interrupts my thoughts. I assume you got the letter, she says without preamble. How bad is it really, Aunt Nancy? She sighs. Worse than he's letting on. Zane Ross is circling like a vulture, looking to hostile takeover. Your sister Valeria is trying to help, but... She trails off. Val, she's involved now? She's trying to follow in your footsteps, actually. Taking night classes in business. Your father doesn't know. My heart clenches. Val was just 18 when I left, watching wide-eyed as I was cast out. Now she's secretly fighting the same battle. There's more, Nancy continues. The Sustainable Energy Project? It's revolutionary. If it fails, hundreds of jobs will be lost. This isn't just about your father anymore. I press my forehead against the cool window of our apartment, watching the city lights blur through unshed tears. He had 5 years to apologize, Aunt Nancy. 5 years to acknowledge he was wrong. I know, sweetheart, but maybe this is your chance, not just for revenge, but to change things, really change them. An idea begins to form in my mind. The engineering department is still all men, isn't it? You know your father. Women are too emotional for technical work. She mimics his gruff voice. What if, I turn to Ben, who's listening intently, what if I could save the company and force him to create opportunities for women in STEM? Ben's eyes light up. Make him put his money where his mouth is? Exactly. A scholarship program for women in engineering, mandatory diversity hiring quotas, real lasting change. He'll never agree, Nancy warns. He will if he's desperate enough. I pick up the letter again, determination replacing the hurt. Tell him I'm coming home, but he better be ready for my terms. Lexi, Ben starts, concern in his voice. I know what I'm doing, I assure him, though my hands shake as I reach for my phone to book a flight. He wanted a dutiful daughter who'd sacrifice herself for the family business. Well, he's about to get exactly what he wished for, just not in the way he expected. Want me to come with you? Ben offers. I shake my head. I need to do this alone, but keep your phone on. I might need your expertise when I start digging into their technical problems. As I pack my bag that night, I find my old family photo. We look happy, Dad, Val, and me. Mom had just died, but we were still holding it together. Before status and tradition became more important than his daughter's happiness. I'm not coming home to forgive you, Dad. I whisper to his smiling image. I'm coming home to show you exactly what your engineering nonsense can do. And this time, you'll have to watch as your daughter dismantles your precious patriarchy, piece by piece. I zip up my suitcase, my heart racing with equal parts anticipation and dread. Tomorrow, I return to face my past. But this time, I'm not the scared 23-year-old he threw out. This time, I'm the one with the power to save or destroy everything he holds dear. And God help him if he tries to stop me. The Parker mansion looms before me, exactly as imposing as I remember. My Uber driver whistles as he helps with my luggage. Nice place, I force a smile and tip him generously. The front door opens before I reach it, and there's Val, practically bouncing with nervous energy. Lexi! She throws herself into my arms, and for a moment, I'm transported back in time. She still smells like strawberry shampoo. I can't believe you're really here. Look at you, I say, holding her at arm's length, all grown up. She's dressed in a crisp business suit, so different from the teenager I left behind. Ms. Parker. Thompson, our old butler, appears behind Val. His eyes are warm despite his formal tone. Welcome home. Home. The word feels foreign now. Where is he? In his study, Val answers, her excitement dimming. He's been there all morning. Of course he has. The same room where he disowned me. How fitting. Let's not keep him waiting then. I straighten my blazer and follow Thompson through the familiar hallways. Family photos line the walls, but I notice all traces of me have been removed. Classy dad. Val grabs my hand. He's different now. The company troubles have aged him. Good, I mutter, then immediately regret it when I see her face fall. Thompson knocks on the study door. Sir, Ms. Lexi is here. Enter. My father's voice sends an involuntary shiver down my spine. I squeeze Val's hand once, then let go. This is my battle. He's standing behind his desk, and Val's right. He looks older. Gray hair has replaced the black, and deep lines crease his face. But his eyes are the same. Cold, calculating. Lexi, he nods stiffly. Father. I remain by the door, arms crossed. Quite a letter you sent. He clears his throat. Yes, well, desperate times. Clearly. I walk to his desk, placing my palms flat on its surface. Let's skip the small talk. Show me the numbers. He bristles at my tone, but slides a folder across the desk. I flip through it, my stomach dropping. It's worse than Aunt Nancy suggested. The Sustainable Energy Project? I ask. Bleeding money. Technical issues we can't solve, and Zane Ross is circling like a vulture, I know. I close the folder. I can fix this. Hope flickers in his eyes. You will help? For a price. His jaw tightens. Name it. I pull out a document from my briefcase. My terms, non-negotiable. He reads, his face growing redder with each line. This is outrageous. 50% of new engineering hires must be women, a multi-million-dollar scholarship fund for women in STEM, mandatory diversity training, and I want full control of the Sustainable Energy Division, I add calmly. No interference. He slams the paper down. You're using our crisis to push your feminist agenda. No, Father, I'm using your crisis to drag this company into the 21st century. Sign it or I walk. You wouldn't. Try me. I meet his glare. I'm not that scared little girl anymore. I'm the best in my field and you know it. That's why you called me. Val steps forward. Dad, please, we need her. He whirls on her. Stay out of this, Valeria. No, her voice is firm. I won't. Lexi's right. This company needs to change. I'm tired of being the only woman in board meetings, of being patted on the head and called sweetheart by men twice my age. I stare at my sister with newfound respect. She's grown a backbone while I was gone. My father sinks into his chair, suddenly looking every bit his age. You've thought this through, haven't you? 5 years of thinking, I reply. Sign it and I start tomorrow. Don't, and I'm on the next flight out. Your choice. The silence stretches. Finally, he picks up his pen. You're as stubborn as your mother was. Thank you, I say, watching him sign. It's the first compliment he's given me in years. He slides the contract back. The guest room is ready for you. No need. I'm staying at a hotel. I gather my things, tucking the signed contract safely away. I'll be here at 8 tomorrow morning. Have the engineering team ready. At the door, I pause. Oh, and father? Next time you see Zane Ross, tell him his vulture days are numbered. Val follows me out. That was amazing. But are you sure you don't want to stay here? I hug her tight. Baby steps, Val. Besides, I pull back with a grin. I have a feeling Dad's about to learn just how emotional women engineers can be. As my taxi pulls away, I text Ben. Phase 1 complete. Time to show them what we can do. His reply comes instantly. Give 'em hell, babe. Oh, I plan to. This is just the beginning. 8 a.m., and I'm already drowning in technical specifications. The engineering team, all men of course, stare at me like I'm an alien species as I pace the conference room. So, let me get this straight. I tap the whiteboard where I've mapped out their current system. You're losing 40% efficiency in the energy conversion process, and nobody thought to check the thermal regulation systems? Steve, the head engineer, shifts uncomfortably. We've tried everything, except the obvious. I circle the problem areas in red. These cooling systems are completely inadequate for the heat output. Who approved these specs? Silence fills the room. Then a smooth voice from the doorway. I did. I turned to find Zane Ross leaning against the doorframe, expensive suit and practiced smile in place. Ah, the prodigal daughter returns. Mr. Ross, I keep my voice neutral. I wasn't aware you had engineering oversight. I've been consulting on this project. He strolls in like he owns the place. Your father values my input. Clearly, I point to the specs. Your input is costing us millions. His smile doesn't waver. Perhaps we should discuss this privately? Nothing to discuss. I'm scrapping these designs and starting fresh. That's not your decision to make. His voice hardens. Actually, it is. Full control of the Sustainable Energy Division, remember? Or did my father not mention our agreement? The engineering team watches our exchange like a tennis match. Zane's eye twitches, the first crack in his perfect facade. A word outside, please. He gestures to the door. No time. Val, could you pull up the quarterly financials? My sister, who's been quietly taking notes in the corner, jumps to action. The projector flickers to life, and I start connecting dots that have been nagging at me since reviewing the books. Interesting, I mutter, tracing the money flow. Very interesting. What is it? Val asks. These equipment purchases. I highlight several transactions. We're paying triple market rate, all through the same supplier. I turn to Zane. Your supplier, if I'm not mistaken? His smile vanishes. I should call your father. Please do. I'd love to explain how you've been bleeding the company dry with inflated contracts while sabotaging our technical progress. The door bursts open. My father storms in, face red. What's the meaning of this? Zane tells me you're causing problems. I cut him off. Dad, look at these numbers. Really look at them. He scans the screen, frowning. These can't be right. Oh, they're right. And that's just the beginning. I pull up more documents. Every decision Zane has made has pushed us closer to bankruptcy. Almost like he's working with someone who wants to buy the company cheap. Zane's cool demeanor cracks completely. These are baseless accusations, are they? Val speaks up, her voice shaking but determined, because I found something interesting in the competitor analysis. She slides a folder across the table. Zane's been meeting with Apex Corp's CEO, the same company that's been trying to buy us out. My father sinks into a chair, the truth hitting him like a physical blow. Zane, we've been friends for 20 years. Friends? I laugh harshly. He's been playing you, Dad, using your pride and your outdated beliefs against you. Why do you think he pushed so hard against hiring women engineers? Because he knew we'd spot his shoddy work in seconds. The engineering team murmurs in agreement. Steve stands up. She's right, sir. We've been saying something was off with these designs, but Mr. Ross always overruled us. Zane backs toward the door. This is ridiculous. Brian, You can't possibly believe. Security. My father's voice is deadly quiet. Please escort Mr. Ross out and call our lawyers. As security leads a protesting Zane away, I turn back to the whiteboard. Right, now that's dealt with, let's fix this mess. Steve, get your team started on new thermal calculations. Val, I need complete audit of all contracts from the last 3 years. Lexi, my father says softly, I should have seen it. Yes, you should have. I keep my eyes on the whiteboard. Your prejudices made you vulnerable, but we can fix this. I face the engineering team. Starting with some new perspectives, I'm bringing in 3 women engineers tomorrow. Any objections? They shake their heads quickly. Steve actually looks relieved. Thank God, we've been understaffed for months. Good. I check my phone. A text from Ben with some thermal regulation suggestions. Let's get to work. We've got a company to save. As everyone files out, Val touches my arm. That was brilliant. No, I smile at her. We were brilliant. Nice work with that competitor analysis. She beams. Think Dad's finally getting it? I watch our father staring at Zane's empty chair, looking lost. He's learning. Sometimes the hardest lessons come from trusting the wrong people and doubting the right ones. Speaking of trust, Val whispers, I found something else in the old files. Something about Mom's shares in the company. You need to see this. My heart skips. Show me after lunch. Right now, we have a thermal regulation system to redesign. And maybe, just maybe, a father to re-educate. The boardroom feels like a pressure cooker. I stand at the head of the table, surrounded by aging men in expensive suits, all wearing identical expressions of skepticism. Val sits to my right, tablet ready. The 3 new women engineers I hired, Sarah, Maria, and Jasmine, flank my left, their credentials speaking louder than any defense I could offer. This is unprecedented. Board member Richard adjusts his tie nervously. A complete overhaul of the energy system in just 2 weeks? What's unprecedented is how long you let this company operate with faulty technology, I counter, pulling up our new designs. Sarah, walk them through the improvements. Sarah stands, confident despite the hostile stares. Our redesigned thermal regulation system has already shown a 60% efficiency increase in initial tests. We've cut operational costs by... The boardroom door slams open. Zane strides in, flanked by 2 lawyers. I'm afraid this meeting needs to be postponed, he announces, dropping a thick folder on the table. I'm here to address some concerning irregularities. My father rises. You're not welcome here. Actually, I am. Zane's smile is predatory. As a major shareholder, I have every right to attend board meetings, and I've found some interesting details about your daughter's contract. Val grabs my arm. Lexi, I shake her off, keeping my voice steady. Please, enlighten us. Your engineering license. He slides a document forward. It was temporarily suspended last year due to a conflict of interest investigation. The board members murmur. I clench my fists. An investigation that cleared me completely. After 3 months, 3 months during which you were technically unlicensed, making your current contract with Parker Industries invalid. That's absurd, Sarah interjects. A temporary suspension that's been lifted means she was unqualified when she signed, Zane interrupts. Everything she's done here is unauthorized, including hiring you. The room erupts in chaos. Board members arguing, lawyers shuffling papers, my father looking stricken. But all I can focus on is Zane's smug face. Enough! Val's voice cuts through the noise. She stands, trembling but determined. Before anyone makes any decisions, you need to see this. She projects a document onto the screen. Mom's will, the real one. My father goes pale. Valeria, don't. Mom left her shares to us, Val continues. 30% of the company, split between Lexi and me. Shares that somehow ended up in Zane's control instead. The room falls silent. I stare at my father, realization dawning. You gave Mom's shares to him? It was temporary, he whispers, just until the girls were older. Older? I laugh bitterly. I'm running a Fortune 500 engineering division, and Val's getting her MBA. How much older do we need to be? Zane's composure slips. Brian, this is a family matter. You're right, it is. I turn to the board. And as rightful shareholders, we demand an immediate audit of all share transfers since our mother's death. You can't, Zane starts. Actually, we can. Val pulls up another document. I filed the paperwork this morning. The SEC is already investigating. Zane lunges for her tablet, but Sarah and Maria step between them. Security appears at the door, summoned by Jasmine's discreet text. Mr. Ross, the head of security says firmly, please come with us. As they lead him out, he turns back. This isn't over, Lexi. You have no idea what you're dealing with. No, I correct him. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Dad, a word? The board files out, leaving me alone with my father and Val. He looks ancient, slumped in his chair. Why? I demand. Why give her shares to him? The company was struggling after your mother died. Zane offered to help, promised to return the shares. He rubs his face. I was grieving, desperate. So you stole from your daughters? I thought I was protecting you? He slams his hand on the table. Both of you, this business, it destroys families. Look what it did to your mother. Val gasps. What do you mean, what it did to Mom? But before he can answer, my phone buzzes. It's Ben. Emergency at the test site. System malfunction. Get here now. This conversation isn't over, I warn my father, gathering my things. Val, come with me. Sarah, Maria, Jasmine, meet us at the lab. As we rush out, Val grabs my arm. Lexi, what did he mean about Mom? I don't know. I hit the elevator button repeatedly. But I'm starting to think her car accident wasn't as accidental as we were told. The elevator doors open and we step in, both lost in thought. Just before they close, I catch a glimpse of my father through the boardroom windows. He's holding Mom's photo from his desk, shoulders shaking. For the first time since coming back, I wonder if my revenge might cost more than I bargained for. But the test site alarm blares again on my phone, and I push the thought away. One crisis at a time. Smoke billows from the test site as Val and I screech to a halt in my rental car. Sarah and Maria are already there, frantically working at the control panel. The prototype sustainable energy reactor, our last hope for saving the company, is making sounds no reactor should make. What happened? I demand, rushing over. Temperature spike, Sarah explains, fingers flying over the keyboard. The new cooling system failed completely. That's impossible. I checked the readings. We triple-checked everything. Someone sabotaged it, Jasmine calls from inside the control room. Look at this. On her screen, lines of foreign code scroll past. A virus, she explains, triggered to activate during the final test sequence. Val peers at the screen. Can you stop it? Not fast enough. I run calculations in my head. We need to shut it down manually, now. The manual override is inside the testing chamber, Maria warns. With these temperatures, I'm already grabbing protective gear. Keep trying to hack it if I'm not out in 5 minutes. I'm coming with you. Val starts forward, but I push her back. No, I need you to call Ben. He helped design the failsafe. Get him on video chat. The testing chamber doors feel like an oven when I push through them. Sweat instantly soaks my protective suit. The reactor core pulses an angry red, warning lights flashing everywhere. Ben's online. Val's voice crackles through my headset. Lexi, listen carefully. Ben's familiar voice steadies me. The override panel is on the north wall. You'll need to input the sequence exactly as I say it. I fight through the heat, reaching the panel. Ready. Delta 79. Static cuts through the transmission. Ben? Ben! Signal's being jammed, Jasmine shouts. Someone's blocking all communications. The reactor groans ominously. Without the override sequence, this whole place will melt down. Think, Lexi, think. Then I spot something. A familiar pattern in the warning lights. The same pattern Mom used to teach us piano. Hot tears sting my eyes as her voice echoes in my memory. Remember, girls, every problem has a pattern. Find the pattern. Find the solution. Val! I scream into my headset. Mom's song, the one she taught us. What were the notes? What? Lexi, what are you? The piano song. Quick! D793A4. My fingers fly over the keypad, translating musical notes to numbers. The reactor shudders, then begins to power down. Emergency cooling systems kick in, flooding the chamber with blessed cold air. I stagger out to find Val waiting with an oxygen mask. How did you know? Mom? I gasp between breaths. She always said music and mathematics were the same language. Sarah runs up with her tablet. We traced the virus. It came from inside the company network. Someone with high-level access. Zane? Val suggests. Too obvious. I shake my head. He's been sloppy lately. This was elegant. Lexi, Jasmine calls from the control room. You need to see this. On her monitor is an old email chain from our mother to the board, dated 1 week before her death. I'm formally requesting an investigation into suspicious contracts, I read aloud. I believe someone is embezzling funds through our overseas operations. Val grabs my arm. The accident. It was right after this. There's more. Jasmine scrolls down. These contracts. They match the pattern we found in Zane's dealings, but they start years before he joined the company. My phone buzzes. Aunt Nancy. Turn on the news, she says without greeting. I grab Val's tablet, pulling up a live feed. Breaking news. Corporate scandal rocks industry. Whistleblower reveals decades of fraud. That's Marcus Thompson. Val points at the man being interviewed. Dad's old partner, the one who wanted you to marry his son. My blood runs cold as Marcus speaks. I can no longer keep silent about what happened to Julia Parker. Her death was no accident. Holy shit, Sarah whispers. My father bursts in, looking frantic. Lexi, Val, thank God you're safe. When I heard about the reactor, did you know? I cut him off, showing him Mom's emails. Did you know what they did to her? He sinks into a chair, looking broken. I suspected after she died, but Marcus threatened. He said you girls would be next. So you tried to marry me off to his son? My voice rises. To protect me? To get proof, he shouts. His son knew everything. If you had married him, you used me as bait? No, he deflates. I made so many mistakes. Trying to protect you both, I only made things worse. Val steps between us. The reactor sabotage. It wasn't Zane, was it? Marcus, our father confirms. He must have realized we were close to exposing him. The Sustainable Energy Project. It would have revealed the money trail. My phone buzzes again. Ben. FBI just arrived at Marcus's office. They're saying something about international fraud charges. I look at the reactor, still cooling down, then at my father's haunted face, and finally at Val's determined expression. Well, I say, straightening up, looks like we're not just saving a company anymore. We're getting justice for Mom, Val finishes. Our father stands. Tell me what you need. Everything, I answer. Every file, every memory, every detail about Mom's last days. It's time for the whole truth. And this time, no one's gonna stop us from finding it. Rain pounds against the study windows as I sort through Mom's old files. Val sits cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by papers, while our father paces, recounting that fatal week. Julia was acting strange, he says, working late, taking private calls. Then she left this. He hands me a sealed envelope, yellowed with age. Instructions to open it only if something happened to her. My hands shake as I break the seal. A USB drive falls out, along with a handwritten note. "My darling girls," I read aloud, "if you're reading this, I couldn't protect our company from the corruption I discovered, but maybe you can finish what I started." Val wipes her eyes. All this time, a knock interrupts us. Aunt Nancy bursts in, soaking wet. "Marcus is dead." "What?" We all speak at once. "Apparent suicide. Left a confession." She pulls out her phone, reading. "Julia Parker discovered our scheme. We couldn't let her expose us. The brake lines were the cleanest solution. The room spins. Dad catches me before I fall." "There's more," Nancy continues. "He named names, board members, international partners, shell companies. It's bigger than we imagined." "The FBI's here," Thompson announces from the doorway. "They're asking for Ms. Lexi." Two agents enter, introducing themselves. The female agent, Rodriguez, speaks first. "We need to talk about your mother's investigation." "I just found out about it myself." I gesture to the scattered papers. "Not that investigation," the male agent Miller corrects. "The one you've been running for the past 3 weeks." Val gasps. I keep my face neutral. "Explain." "Someone's been accessing sealed federal records," Rodriguez says, "using algorithms remarkably similar to ones your mother developed, following money trails she flagged 20 years ago." I glance at Jasmine's laptop, still running code in the corner. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Really?" Miller raises an eyebrow. "Because the SEC just received an anonymous tip detailing exactly how Marcus Thompson's organization has been laundering money through sustainable energy projects worldwide, using your mother's original findings as a framework." Dad steps forward. "My daughter was just trying to save our company." "And exposed an international fraud ring in the process," Rodriguez finishes. "We're not here to arrest anyone, Ms. Parker. We need your help." Thunder crashes outside as I consider their words. "What kind of help?" "Marcus's death complicates things," Miller explains. "We need to move fast before his associates destroy evidence. Your mother's research, combined with your technical expertise, could crack their whole network." I finish. "But I want something in return." "Name it." "Full immunity for everyone at Parker Industries who helped me, including my sister and father." The agents exchange looks. "Done." "And one more thing." I pull up the reactor data. "Someone tried to kill me today. I want them." "We know who it was," Rodriguez says quietly. "That's why we're here. Marcus wasn't working alone." A familiar voice speaks from the doorway. "No, he wasn't." We all turn. My blood freezes. Standing there, holding a gun, is Sarah. "I'm sorry, Lexi," she says, her hand steady. "But I can't let you finish what your mother started." "You?" Val breathes. "But you helped us." "I helped myself," Sarah snaps. 20 years building this network, hiding the money. Your mother almost ruined everything. And now her daughters, playing detective. "Drop the weapon." Both agents draw their guns. Sarah laughs. "You don't get it. I'm not alone." As if on cue, the power cuts out. Emergency lights cast eerie shadows. "The reactor sabotage," I realize. "You made it look like Marcus?" "While destroying evidence of the real financial network," she confirms. "Clever girl, just like your mother, and just as dead if you don't." A deafening crash interrupts her as Ben bursts through the side door, tackling Sarah. The gun skids across the floor. Val dives for it while the agents move in. Perfect timing. I help Ben up once Sarah's cuffed. Jasmine called me, he explains. Said something felt off about Sarah's code. I was already on my way when the FBI called. Rodriguez secures Sarah while Miller checks the rest of the house. We'll need statements from everyone. First, I turn to Sarah. Tell me something. The night Mom died? Were you there? She meets my eyes, defiant. I made the call. Marcus did the rest. Dad lunges forward, but I stop him. No, she's not worth it. We'll destroy them properly, with evidence, with justice. Just like your mother would have wanted, Aunt Nancy says softly. As the agents lead Sarah away, I clutch Mom's USB drive. We need to finish this. Tonight. Ben, call Maria and Jasmine. Val, get your laptop. Dad. He straightens. Whatever you need. I need you to tell me everything about Mom's last investigation. Every detail you were too afraid to share before. Lightning illuminates the study as we gather around Mom's old desk. Her picture watches over us as we prepare to finish what she started. This time, the truth won't stay buried. Dawn breaks as we piece together the final connections. Empty coffee cups litter Mom's desk, surrounded by laptops displaying complex financial webs. Maria and Jasmine work furiously, tracking digital breadcrumbs while Ben cross-references data. Got another one, Val exclaims. Shell company in Singapore, connected to Sarah's network. Add it to the map, I direct, watching as our digital visualization grows more complex. 20 years of fraud, corruption, and murder, all laid bare. Agent Rodriguez returns with fresh coffee. We've got teams standing by worldwide. Once you give the signal, we move simultaneously. Almost there, Ben mutters, fingers flying over his keyboard. Just need to wait. He sits up straight. Lexi, look at this. On his screen, a familiar name appears in Mom's old files. My heart stops. Dad? I turn to where he's dozing in an armchair. Why is your signature on these offshore accounts? He jerks awake, face pale. What? These transfers, I point to the screen. They're authorized under your name, dating back to before Mom died. The room goes silent. Val stands slowly. Dad? He rubs his face, looking ancient. I didn't know, not at first. Marcus approached me about international investments, said we needed to diversify. The paperwork was complicated. You signed without reading, I finish flatly. By the time Julia discovered what they were using my signature for, it was too late. They had me compromised. So you let them kill her? Val's voice breaks. No. He stands, desperate. I tried to stop it. I called her that night, warned her not to drive the mountain road, but she said she had proof, was taking it to the authorities. Agent Miller appears in the doorway. Mr. Parker, we need to have a conversation. Wait, I interrupt. Dad, what proof? We haven't found anything concrete from that night. He slumps. Her laptop? She always backed everything up on it, but after the crash? It was never found, Jasmine finishes, already typing. Unless the insurance report, Maria says suddenly. It lists everything recovered from the crash, including a damaged laptop. Evidence log shows it went to the company's IT department, Ben reads, under Sarah's supervision. I grab my phone, calling Rodriguez. The old IT storage room, now. 20 minutes later, we're breaking into dusty filing cabinets while agents stand guard outside. Val sneezes as we shift through ancient hardware. Here. Ben pulls out a battered laptop. Serial number matches. Jasmine takes it reverently. The hard drive might still be intact. How long? I ask. Give me an hour. It takes 30 minutes. We huddle around her screen as Mom's last files load. Documents, photos, videos. Play that one. Val points to a video file dated the day she died. Mom's face fills the screen, looking exactly as I remember. If you're watching this, I didn't make it, but I've uploaded everything to secure servers. The evidence is hidden in the one place they'd never look: the company's sustainable energy patents. The patents? I whisper. Each patent application contains encoded data, Ben realizes, pulling them up, hidden in plain sight all these years. She knew they'd try to destroy her files, Val says, so she hid the proof in documents they couldn't touch without exposing themselves. Mom continues, Lexi, Val, I'm so sorry I won't see you grow up, but I know you'll finish this. Brian, my love, forgive yourself. Your signature may have opened the door, but your heart was always in the right place. Tears stream down Dad's face as agents lead him away. He goes quietly, pausing only to whisper, Make it right. Rodriguez returns, energized. We've got everything. Teams are moving in worldwide. Sarah's entire network is about to fall. Wait, I say. One more thing. I walk to the boardroom where emergency meetings are underway. Executives freeze as I enter. Ladies and gentlemen, I announce, in light of recent events, I'm calling for an immediate vote. All in favor of establishing the Julia Parker Foundation for Corporate Ethics and Women in STEM? Hands shoot up across the room. Nobody dares object. The foundation will be funded by seized assets from the corrupt network my mother died exposing, I continue. And its first act will be establishing oversight committees for all sustainable energy projects worldwide. I'll draft the paperwork, Val says, standing beside me. And I'll head the technical committee, Ben adds. As the sun rises fully, I stand at Mom's old office window. Her voice from the video echoes, Remember, girls, the truth always finds its way to light. We did it, Mom, I whisper. We brought them all down. My phone buzzes. Agent Rodriguez. Final arrest count 43 worldwide, including 3 board members and 6 international executives. I show the message to Val. She hugs me tight. Think Dad will be okay? He made mistakes, I say, but he helped us fix them. That counts for something. So what now? I smile, thinking of Mom's legacy and the changes we've set in motion. Now, we build something better, together. The autumn breeze carries the scent of coffee and fresh paint through the open windows of the newly renovated Parker Industries headquarters. I straighten Mom's portrait, now hanging prominently in the main lobby, as students file in for the Julia Parker Foundation's first scholarship ceremony. Nervous? Ben squeezes my hand. Terrified, I admit, watching young women in business attire fill the auditorium seats. What if you say, what if this doesn't work one more time? I'm telling Val, he threatens playfully. Speaking of Val, she strides onto the stage, commanding attention in her CEO suit. My little sister, all grown up and running the company while I handle the foundation. Who would have thought? Welcome to the first annual Julia Parker Scholarship Awards, she begins. Today, we celebrate not just academic excellence, but the courage to challenge corrupt systems and break down barriers. I slip backstage, where Maria and Jasmine are helping our guest of honor prepare. Dad straightens his tie, prison pale but standing tall. Ready? I ask. He nods. They approved my work release for this. Don't want to waste it. You earned it, I remind him. Your testimony helped convict 38 people. Small payment on a large debt. He touches Mom's wedding ring, which I now wear on a chain. Julia would be proud of you girls. Val's voice rings out. Please welcome our keynote speaker, Brian Parker. The audience's reaction is mixed. Some applause, some whispers. Everyone knows his story. Dad takes the podium, hands shaking slightly. 20 years ago, I made choices that cost me everything I held dear. He begins. My wife, my daughter's trust, my integrity. I chose pride over principle, silence over truth. But my daughters, his voice cracks. They chose justice. In the front row, Agent Rodriguez nods approvingly. Thanks to her advocacy, Dad's sentence was reduced in exchange for his cooperation and agreement to serve on the Foundation's ethics board after release. Today, Dad continues, we award scholarships to 20 young women entering STEM fields. Each recipient will also intern at Parker Industries, where they'll work on sustainable energy projects that prioritize ethics over profits. I step forward with the certificates as Val reads names. Each young face glows with determination, reminding me of Mom's video. The next generation will do better if we give them the chance. The ceremony concludes, but our day isn't over. In the renovated engineering wing, Maria unveils the prototype that consumed our last 3 months, a portable solar generator that costs a tenth of existing models. Mass production starts next week, she announces to the gathered press, and thanks to the Foundation's oversight, we can guarantee every unit is produced ethically, with fair labor and sustainable materials. Plus, Jasmine adds, the patents are structured to prevent the kind of financial manipulation that plagued the old system. Your mother's coding trick inspired that, she tells me quietly. Later, in Mom's old office, now the Foundation's headquarters, Val and I share tea from her favorite cup. Did you see the latest audit? Val asks. Record profits, 0 ethical violations. I confirm. Turns out doing the right thing is good business. Speaking of business, she slides over a tablet. Remember those diversity hiring quotas you demanded when you first came back? I scan the numbers, then laugh. 60% women in engineering? We exceeded the quota. Turns out, when you remove the corrupt gatekeepers, talent flows naturally. A knock interrupts us. Ben enters with Thompson, our faithful butler turned office manager. Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here you need to meet. A young woman enters, clutching a familiar-looking notebook. I'm Amy. I found this at a garage sale. I think it belonged to your mother. My hands tremble as I open it. Mom's handwriting fills the pages, her personal journal from the year before she died. There's something else, Amy says. I'm a forensic accountant. Reading her notes, she predicted exactly how digital currency could be used for fraud. 20 years ago, I'd like to help the Foundation implement her preventive measures. Val and I exchange looks. Mom's legacy still growing, still fighting corruption in ways we never imagined. Welcome aboard, I tell Amy. That evening, I visit Mom's grave with fresh flowers. The Foundation's scholarship certificate rests against her headstone, along with a photo of Dad speaking at the ceremony. We're not done yet, Mom, I whisper, but we're getting there. Your fight is our fight now, and we're winning. My phone buzzes, Ben reminding me about dinner. As I stand, a familiar warmth fills me, like Mom's hugs used to. The autumn breeze carries maple leaves across the cemetery, and I swear I hear her laugh in the wind. Some people say revenge is best served cold, but Mom taught us something better. Justice is best served by lifting others up, by turning wounds into wisdom, by making sure the next generation stands taller on our shoulders. And that's exactly what we're gonna do.
The letter from the IRS sat on my kitchen counter like a ticking bomb. $347,000 in unpaid taxes. My hands trembled as I read the notice again, hoping the numbers would somehow rearrange themselves into something less catastrophic. I'm Summer, and until this morning, I thought I was doing pretty well for a 28-year-old marketing manager. Decent apartment, reliable Honda Civic, and enough savings to treat myself to occasional weekend getaways. But now I was staring at a tax bill that exceeded my annual salary 5 times over. This has to be a mistake, I muttered, grabbing my phone. My father answered on the second ring. Princess, what a lovely surprise. Dad, I need you to explain something. I cut him off, my voice sharper than intended. I just got a notice from the IRS about unpaid taxes on income I've never seen. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. The pause that followed lasted a beat too long. "Oh, sweetheart, that must be a mistake. Why don't you bring it over and we'll sort it out?" Something in his tone made my stomach clench. I grabbed my keys and the letter, already heading for the door. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. The drive to my parents' suburban home felt endless. When I arrived, Dad was waiting in his usual spot, the leather armchair by the window where he'd read me stories as a kid. But today, his warm smile seemed practiced, rehearsed. "Show me the letter," he said, extending his hand. I watched his face as he read it, noting how his expression didn't register any surprise. "Well?" I prompted. "Summer, sweetie, sit down." He gestured to the couch. "There's something we need to discuss." "I'd rather stand," he sighed, setting the letter aside. "Remember when you turned 18 and I had you sign some papers for your college fund?" The memory hit me like a punch to the gut. Those weren't just college fund documents, were they? "I needed to protect our family's assets," he said, his voice taking on that familiar authoritative tone he used when explaining adult things to me. The market was unstable and I had to make some strategic decisions. "Strategic decisions?" I interrupted. "You used my identity to hide money from the IRS?" "Lower your voice," he hissed, glancing toward the kitchen where Mom was probably pretending not to listen. "This isn't as simple as you're making it sound. Everything I did was to secure our family's future. Your future." I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through my contacts. "What are you doing?" he asked, tension creeping into his voice. "Calling Elizabeth." "Our family lawyer? Don't be dramatic, Summer. We can handle this internally." "Handle what internally?" Mom appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "What's going on?" Dad stood up, approaching me with his hands raised in a placating gesture. "Nothing that concerns you, Jessica. Summer's just confused about some paperwork." "Confused?" I laughed, the sound brittle and harsh. "Dad used my identity to hide money from the government, and now I'm on the hook for hundreds of thousands in taxes. Is that clear enough for everyone?" Mom's dish towel dropped to the floor. "Terrence, what is she talking about?" "Don't worry about it," he said quickly. "Summer's overreacting. I'll take care of everything." "Like you've been taking care of things for the past 10 years?" I shot back. "Using my name, my social security number, my identity?" He grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. "Princess, please, let's discuss this rationally. I'm your father. Everything I've done has been for you." I jerked away from his grip. "Don't touch me, and don't call me princess." "If you walk out that door and involve outsiders in family business," he warned, his voice dropping low, "you'll regret it." I stopped at the threshold, turning to face him one last time. "No, Dad. The only thing I regret is trusting you." As I drove away, my phone buzzed with messages from both parents. I ignored them, instead pulling into a coffee shop parking lot and dialing a different number. "Michael, it's Summer. Remember how you always said you owed me one for covering for you in 10th grade? I need your help with something big. How much do you know about investigating financial fraud?" The line crackled with his response, and for the first time since opening that letter, I felt something other than panic and betrayal. I felt purpose. My father had spent years building his house of lies, using my identity as the foundation. Now it was time to tear it down, brick by brick, until nothing remained but the truth, no matter how ugly it might be. "He did what?" Parker nearly choked on his coffee. We were sitting in his apartment where I'd fled after leaving my parents' house. The evening light cast long shadows across his living room as I showed him the IRS notice. "Used my identity to hide money," I repeated, pacing back and forth. And the worst part? He acted like I was being unreasonable for getting upset about it. Parker set down his mug and caught my hand as I passed, pulling me onto the couch beside him. "Have you talked to a lawyer yet?" "I called Elizabeth, the family attorney. She's meeting me tomorrow morning." I leaned into his shoulder, exhausted. "And Michael's coming too. He thinks there might be a story here." "Michael from high school? The journalist?" Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. The 20th message from my father since I'd left. I switched it to silent without reading it. "You should see these texts," I said, handing Parker my phone. He's switching between threatening me and guilt-tripping me every other message. Parker scrolled through them, his frown deepening. "Remember everything I've sacrificed for you. Don't destroy this family. Jesus, Summer, this is manipulation 101. A knock at the door made me jump. Michael stood there, laptop bag slung over his shoulder, looking exactly like the eager investigative journalist he'd become. "Sorry I'm late," he said, pulling out his laptop, "but I've been doing some preliminary digging. Summer, have you ever heard of a company called Meridian Ventures?" I shook my head. "Well, according to public records, you're listed as its CEO." "I'm what?" I grabbed his laptop, staring at the document he'd pulled up. There was my name, clear as day, on company registration papers dated back to my 18th birthday. "There's more," Michael continued, pulling up another window. "The company has been involved in dozens of real estate transactions over the past decade, all using your name, your social security number." Parker leaned forward. "How much money are we talking about?" "Based on what I've found so far?" Michael grimaced. "Millions." My stomach lurched. "I think I'm going to be sick." "We need to document everything," Michael said, his journalist instincts kicking in. "Every paper you signed, every conversation you remember. Elizabeth can help with the legal angle, but we need to build a solid case." "What about your mom?" Parker asked. "Does she know anything about this?" I thought about her shocked face when I'd revealed Dad's deception. "No, I don't think so." She looked genuinely surprised. My phone buzzed again, this time with a text from Peyton, Dad's secretary. "Your father is very concerned. Please call him. He only wants to make things right." Make things right? I showed the message to Michael. "He's using his secretary to pressure me now?" "Actually," Michael said slowly, "Peyton might be useful. How well do you know her?" "We've talked at company events. She's always been nice, but she's totally loyal to Dad." "Maybe too loyal," Parker suggested. "She might know where the bodies are buried, so to speak." I stood up, energy suddenly coursing through me. "You're right, and I know exactly how to approach her. Dad's hosting that charity gala next week, the one he does every year. Peyton always handles the details." Michael's eyes lit up. "Perfect opportunity to do some digging. I can get press credentials." "No," I interrupted. "I need to play this carefully. I'll go alone, act like the dutiful daughter trying to make peace. Peyton tends to talk when she's stressed, and organizing these events always stresses her out." Parker looked worried. "Are you sure you can face your father?" "I have to." I squared my shoulders. "Besides, I learned from the best, didn't I? Dad taught me everything about putting on a good show for the public." Michael was already typing. "I'll keep digging into Meridian Ventures. There has to be a paper trail somewhere." "And I'll go with you to meet Elizabeth tomorrow," Parker added, squeezing my hand. Looking at them both, Parker with his unwavering support and Michael with his determined focus, I felt stronger than I had all day. The initial shock was wearing off, replaced by something harder, more focused. "One more thing," I said, picking up my phone. "I need to respond to Dad's messages, something that'll keep him off balance until next week." I typed quickly. "Dad, I'm sorry I overreacted. You're right. We should handle this as a family. Give me a few days to process everything. I'll see you at the gala." The response was immediate. "That's my girl. We'll sort this out together, princess." I showed the exchange to Michael and Parker. "And that's how you play the player." Michael whistled low. "Remind me never to get on your bad side." "Too late," I said, managing a small smile. "You already did in 10th grade. Why do you think you owe me one?" Elizabeth's office felt colder than I remembered. She sat across from me, reading glasses perched on her nose as she reviewed the documents Michael had gathered. "This is concerning," she said, setting down a stack of papers. "Your father's been thorough, I'll give him that. The way he's structured these companies, it's like a Russian nesting doll of fraud." "Can we prove it?" I asked, leaning forward. "With the right evidence, yes. But Summer," she removed her glasses, "you need to understand what you're getting into. Taking down Terrence won't be easy. He's got connections, resources." "And I've got the truth," I cut in. "Plus whatever's in that filing cabinet behind Peyton's desk." Elizabeth raised an eyebrow. "You've seen something?" "Not yet. But at last year's gala, I saw Dad practically dive for it when Peyton was showing me some old photos. He practically shoved me out of the office." My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Please talk to me. I don't understand what's happening." I ignored it as Elizabeth continued. "If there's documentation in that cabinet, we need it. But accessing it illegally could compromise everything." "Leave that to me," I said, standing up. "I should get going. I'm meeting Peyton for coffee in an hour." The coffee shop was crowded when I arrived. Peyton was already there, perfectly put together as always, a stack of gala planning documents spread across the table. Summer! She stood to hug me. I'm so glad you reached out. Your father's been worried sick. I know, I said, sliding into the seat across from her. I just needed time to process everything. The gala planning is probably a good distraction. Oh, absolutely. She brightened, pushing a folder toward me. I could use your help with the seating arrangements. Your father's been so distracted lately, he's barely looked at them. Distracted? I kept my tone casual. That's not like him. Peyton lowered her voice. Between us, he's been having a lot of closed-door meetings. Yesterday, he had me shredding documents for hours. My heart jumped, but I maintained my composure. Really? What kind of documents? I didn't look too closely, she said, but her expression suggested otherwise. But there was something about Meridian Ventures. Just then, her phone rang. Dad's name flashed on the screen. I should take this, she said, standing up. He's been calling constantly. As she walked away to answer, I noticed she'd left her tablet on the table. The screen was still unlocked, her email open. My fingers itched to grab it, but the risk was too high. Instead, I focused on what she'd said about the shredding. I pulled out my phone and texted Michael. Dad's destroying evidence. Need to move faster. Peyton returned, looking flustered. I'm so sorry, Summer, but I need to head back to the office. Your father needs some urgent files from the cabinet. The one behind your desk? I asked innocently. She nodded, already gathering her things. He's been in and out of those files all week. Listen, about the gala, can you stop by tomorrow? We really need to finalize these arrangements. Of course, I smiled. Same time as always? Perfect. And Summer? She paused, her expression softening. Whatever's going on with you and your father, he really does love you. I maintained my smile until she left, then immediately called Michael. Did you get my text? I asked when he answered. Yeah, but I've got something bigger. Remember those real estate transactions? I found a pattern. Every major purchase coincides with a large withdrawal from an account in your name. How large? The latest one was 2 weeks ago, $500,000. My coffee turned bitter in my mouth. 2 weeks ago? That's when he asked me to sign those insurance documents for his estate planning. Which weren't insurance documents at all, I'm guessing. No, I said, my voice hardening. But tomorrow, I'm going to find out exactly what they were. Peyton just invited me to the office to work on gala planning. Summer, Michael's tone was warning. Be careful. If your father catches you. He won't, I interrupted, because he'll be at his weekly golf game. He never misses it. Appearances to maintain and all that. After hanging up, I sat there for a long moment, watching people come and go. Normal people, living normal lives, not discovering their fathers had been stealing their identities for a decade. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Mom. I found some strange papers in your father's study. Can we meet? This time, I responded, tomorrow afternoon. Don't tell Dad. The pieces were falling into place. But as I gathered my things to leave, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the coffee shop window. The woman staring back at me looked different somehow. Harder, more determined. Dad had taught me well about keeping up appearances. Now it was time to put those lessons to use. The office hallway stretched before me like a tunnel. Peyton was in the bathroom. Just 5 minutes, she'd chirped, leaving me alone with that filing cabinet and the thundering of my heart. I moved quickly, sliding open the drawer she'd accessed earlier. My fingers trembled as I snapped photos of everything that looked important. Contracts, bank statements, company registrations. All with my signature, but in different inks, different years. A sound in the hallway made me freeze. But it was just the cleaning crew, pushing their cart past the door. The bottom drawer was locked. Of course it was. That's where Dad had nearly panicked when I'd gotten close last year. I was about to give up when I noticed Peyton's keyring on her desk, half hidden under a gala seating chart. Come on, I muttered, trying keys with shaking hands. The fourth one clicked. Inside was a single manila envelope labeled Summer Original Documents. I opened it, and 18-year-old me stared back from a stack of papers. College fund documents, Dad had said. Looking at them now, with adult eyes, I could see what they really were. Power of attorney forms, company registrations, bank account authorizations, quick photos, then everything back exactly as I'd found it. I was just settling into my chair when Peyton returned. Sorry about that. She sat down, spreading out the gala papers. Now, about the seating arrangements. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Where are you? I've been waiting at the cafe. Shit, I'd completely forgotten about meeting her. Peyton, I'm so sorry. I stood up, gathering my things. I completely forgot I promised to meet Mom for coffee. Can we finish this tomorrow? Of course. Actually, she hesitated. Your father's been asking about you. He wants to know if you're still coming to dinner tonight. Wouldn't miss it, I lied smoothly. Tell him I'll be there at 7. I found Mom at our usual cafe, stirring her cold coffee with a distant look. I found something, she said without preamble, pulling papers from her bag. Bank statements, lots of them, all with your name, but with transactions I know you couldn't have made. I took the statements, my throat tight. How did you find these? Your father's been distracted lately, left his study door unlocked. She looked up at me, her eyes red-rimmed. Summer, what has he done? I showed her the photos I'd just taken. As she scrolled through them, her hands started shaking. 20 years of marriage, she whispered, and I never knew. Mom, no, she cut me off. Don't try to protect me. I need to know everything. So I told her about the IRS notice, the fake companies, the millions hidden under my name. With each revelation, she seemed to shrink further into herself. I've been such a fool, she finally said. We both were. But now we can... My phone rang. Michael. Summer, he said without greeting. You need to see this. Can you come to my office now? I'm with Mom. Bring her. She should see this too. Michael's office was cluttered with papers and coffee cups. He barely looked up as we entered, focused on his computer screen. Remember those real estate transactions? He turned the screen toward us. They weren't just random investments. Your father's been laundering money through them. Lots of it. Mom sank into a chair. How much? Based on what I've found, at least 15 million over the past decade. That's why he needed my identity, I said. His own would have raised red flags. Exactly. And here's the kicker. He's been doing it for others too. Wealthy clients who needed their money, cleaned. My phone buzzed again. Peyton, your father knows you were in the office today. He came back early from golf. He's asking questions about the filing cabinet. Cold fear washed over me. He knows. I showed them the message. Michael immediately started copying files to a flash drive. We need to move fast. If he realizes how much we know, he'll destroy everything. Mom finished, suddenly looking fierce. Not if I can help it. I'm going home now, going to keep him distracted. You two do whatever you need to do. She hugged me tightly before leaving. Be careful, sweetheart. Your father, he's not who we thought he was. After she left, Michael turned to me. What's our next move? I thought about the gala, just 2 days away. About all those wealthy clients who'd be there, not knowing their carefully hidden secrets were about to explode. We stick to the plan, I said, but we need to move up our timeline. The gala isn't just going to be a family event anymore. It's going to be a public execution. The doorbell rang at exactly 7 p.m. Dad stood on Parker's doorstep, looking more disheveled than I'd ever seen him. Princess, he said, his voice strained. We need to talk. Parker appeared behind me. She doesn't want to talk to you. This is family business, Dad snapped. It doesn't concern you. Actually, I said, stepping onto the porch and closing the door behind me. It concerns a lot of people, including your clients. His face went pale. What have you done? Nothing yet. But I know everything, Dad. The money laundering, the fake companies, using my identity to hide millions for your wealthy friends. He grabbed my arm, pulling me closer. Lower your voice. You have no idea what you're talking about. Let go of me. I yanked my arm free. Or should we discuss this at the gala instead? I'm sure your clients would love to hear how you've been handling their money. You wouldn't dare. But there was fear in his eyes now. I'm your father. Really? Because fathers don't steal their children's identities. They don't commit fraud using their daughter's name. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made my heart ache. Everything I did was to secure our future. Your future. My future, I laughed bitterly. I'm facing prison time because of you. No one's going to prison, he said quickly. I can fix this. Just give me time. Don't do anything rash. My phone buzzed, a text from Michael. Documents ready. Elizabeth says we're good to go. Time's up, Dad. I turned to go back inside. See you at the gala. Summer, wait. He reached for me again, but Parker opened the door. I think you should leave, Parker said firmly. After Dad's car disappeared, I collapsed onto Parker's couch. That was harder than I expected. You did great, he said, sitting beside me. What's next? I need to see Mom. She's been texting all day about something she found. Mom was waiting at our old treehouse, my childhood refuge that Dad had built himself. The irony wasn't lost on me. Look at this, she said as soon as I climbed up, holding out a USB drive. I found it in his desk while he was out looking for you. I plugged it into my phone. Spreadsheets, documents, emails, all carefully organized by year. Mom, this is everything, she finished. Every transaction, every client, every fake company. He kept records of it all. Why would he risk keeping this? Insurance, she said grimly, in case any of his clients tried to turn on him. But that's not all. She pulled out an envelope. I found these too. Letters from his clients, thanking him for his services. Some very prominent names. My hands shook as I read them. This is exactly what we needed. But Mom, once this gets out, I know. She looked older suddenly, tired. 20 years of marriage gone. But he did this summer. Not you, not me. My phone buzzed with a text from Peyton. Your father's acting strange, ordering me to shred more files. Something about the gala guest list? I showed Mom the message. He's panicking. Good, she said firmly. Let him panic. I forwarded everything to Michael and Elizabeth, then called Michael. This is perfect, he said after I explained. The story's ready to go. We just need the right moment at the gala. I'll create that moment, I promised. Later that night, I sat in Parker's living room, staring at my phone. Dad had sent another message. Whatever you think you know, you don't understand the whole picture. Don't destroy everything I've built. Please, Princess. Parker read it over my shoulder. You okay? No, I admitted. But I will be. After tomorrow. Are you sure about this? Once it's done? There's no going back, I finished. I know, but he gave up the right to my loyalty when he stole my identity. My phone buzzed again. Elizabeth this time. Documents filed with the FBI. They're ready to move as soon as the story breaks. I thought about Dad's face earlier, the fear in his eyes, the way he'd reached for me like I was still his little girl. Part of me wanted to call it off, to believe his excuses about protecting our future. But then I remembered those documents in the filing cabinet. My signature, forged over and over. My identity, used to hide millions in dirty money. My future, sacrificed for his greed. The gala starts at 7 tomorrow, I told Parker. By 8, everything changes. I'll be there, he promised. We all will, I said, thinking of Michael with his story ready, Mom with her evidence, Elizabeth with her legal documents. It's time for the truth to come out. And somewhere across town, in his big, empty house, my father was about to learn that his greatest creation, his perfect, obedient daughter, would also be his destruction. The gala ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers and false pretenses. I smoothed down my black dress, feeling the USB drive secured in its hidden pocket. Dad spotted me immediately, making his way through the crowd with that practiced smile of his. Princess, he said, kissing my cheek. You look beautiful. Thanks, Dad. Quite a turnout tonight. His grip on my arm tightened slightly. About yesterday. We should talk privately. Of course, I smiled. After your speech? He relaxed slightly, nodding. Across the room, I caught Mom's eye as she chatted with some of Dad's clients. She gave me an almost imperceptible nod. Summer. Peyton hurried over, looking flustered. Thank goodness you're here. We have a situation with the presentation. Dad's head snapped up. What presentation? The slideshow tribute, I said innocently. For your charity work? Don't worry, I'll help Peyton fix it. As we walked away, Peyton whispered, There's something you need to see. Now. She led me to her office, closing the door. I found something while organizing the final documents for tonight. She pulled out a folder. These were meant to be shredded, but I made copies first. My hands shook as I read. Transfer documents, all dated within the last week. Dad was moving money again. Massive amounts. He's trying to hide everything before it all comes out, I realized. Summer. Peyton's voice cracked. Some of these transfers, they're in my name too. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know he was using my identity as well. The door opened suddenly. Dad stood there, his face dark with rage. Both of you, in the ballroom, now. Dad, now. We followed him back to the party. Michael was there now, mingling with his press badge. Mom stood near the podium where Dad would give his speech. Everything was in place, but Dad's expression told me he knew something was wrong. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, clinking his glass, "if I could have your attention." The room quieted. This wasn't planned. His speech wasn't supposed to start for another 30 minutes. "I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight," he continued. "But before we proceed, I need to address something." His eyes found mine. "My daughter has recently discovered some discrepancies in our family business." My heart stopped. He was going to try to get ahead of it. "Dad," I said loudly, stepping forward, "don't." "These discrepancies," he continued as if I hadn't spoken, "might seem concerning out of context, but everything I've done has been completely legal." "Legal?" The word burst from me. "Like identity theft is legal? Like money laundering is legal?" The room went dead silent. "Summer," he warned, "think very carefully about what you're about to do." I pulled out the USB drive. "You mean like you thought carefully about stealing my identity? About using me to hide millions in dirty money?" Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I saw several of Dad's clients shifting uncomfortably. "Or maybe," I continued, my voice carrying across the silent room, "we should ask your clients how they feel about their money being laundered through fake companies in my name." "Security," Dad barked. "Remove her." "Don't bother." Michael stepped forward, press badge visible. "This is all on record now. The story goes live in 5 minutes. And the FBI has everything," Mom added, her voice strong despite her tears. Dad's face went from red to white. "Jessica, you knew about this?" "I found your records," she said. "All of them. The ones you kept as insurance against your clients. They're with the authorities now." The room erupted in chaos. I saw several people rushing for the exits, phones already at their ears. Peyton stood frozen, clutching her folder of evidence. "You've destroyed everything," Dad said, advancing toward me, but Parker stepped between us. "Don't," Parker warned. "It's over." Dad's shoulders sagged. For the first time in my life, he looked old, defeated. "I gave you everything," he said quietly. "No," I replied. "You took everything. My identity, my trust, my future. But tonight, I'm taking it all back." The first police sirens wailed in the distance. Dad's clients were fleeing now, the ballroom emptying rapidly. Michael was already on his phone, presumably talking to his editor. Mom stood with Elizabeth, who had legal documents ready. "Princess," Dad tried one last time, "please." "My name," I said clearly, "is Summer, and I'm not your princess anymore." The ballroom doors burst open as FBI agents flooded in. As they approached Dad, reading him his rights, I felt no satisfaction, no triumph, only a hollow sort of peace. The truth was finally out, and with it, my father's carefully constructed empire of lies came crashing down around us all. The morning after the gala, I sat in Elizabeth's office, watching the media frenzy unfold on her wall-mounted TV. Michael's story had broken wide open, and now every news channel was running with it. "Local business mogul arrested for massive financial fraud," the headlines screamed. Dad's face was everywhere, looking shell-shocked as the FBI led him away in handcuffs. "The IRS is dropping all charges against you," Elizabeth said, setting down her phone. "They're treating you as a victim of identity theft, which you are." "What about the others?" I asked. "Peyton? Mom?" "Peyton's cooperating with authorities. Her testimony about the document shredding will be valuable. As for your mother," Elizabeth sighed. "She's protected. She had no knowledge of the fraud." My phone buzzed. A text from Dad's attorney. "Your father wants to see you." "Don't go," Parker said immediately. He'd been quiet until now, sitting beside me and holding my hand. "I have to." I stood up. This needs to end face to face. The detention center was cold and sterile. Dad sat across from me in his orange jumpsuit, looking like a stranger. "You've made quite a splash," he said, attempting his usual confident smile. It fell flat. "That wasn't my goal." "No?" He leaned forward. "Then what was your goal, Summer? To destroy your family? To ruin everything I built?" You did that yourself, I said quietly. Every time you forged my signature, every time you used my identity to hide your crimes. Crimes? He scoffed. I created opportunities, built a legacy. Everything I did was for our family's future. Stop lying, I snapped. It wasn't for us. It was for you, your greed, your power, your reputation. He fell silent, studying me. You're different now. I had to be, to survive you. I'm your father. No, I cut him off. A father protects his child. He doesn't use her as a shield for his crimes. The guard announced our time was almost up. The prosecutors offered me a deal, he said quickly. If I cooperate, name names. Then take it. For once in your life, do the right thing. His face crumpled. I'm sorry, Princess. I never meant... Save it. I stood up. Your apologies mean nothing now. Outside, Michael was waiting with fresh coffee and news. The story's everywhere, he said as we walked to his car. More victims are coming forward. Other parents who used their kids' identities for fraud. You've started something big. I didn't want to start anything, I said. I just wanted my life back. My phone rang. Mom. They're searching the house, she said without preamble. The FBI found more documents in his study. Summer, the numbers are worse than we thought, much worse. I closed my eyes. How much? Over 50 million, and not just from his clients. He was stealing from charities, too. The coffee turned bitter in my mouth. All those galas, all those charitable donations, just more fronts for his schemes. Back at Parker's apartment, I found Peyton waiting. I gave them everything, she said, wringing her hands. Every file, every transaction I knew about. They're offering me immunity. Good, I said. You should take it. Summer. She hesitated. There's something else. Your father, he had plans for you. He was grooming you to take over, to continue his operation. The room spun slightly. What? Those documents you signed 2 weeks ago? They weren't just for show. He was gradually transferring control to you. He wanted you to become him. I sank onto the couch, Parker's arm immediately around my shoulders. He didn't just steal my identity, I realized. He was trying to steal my soul. My phone buzzed again. Elizabeth, turn on the news, now. We crowded around Parker's TV. Dad was being led into court, but this time he wasn't alone. Several of his wealthy clients were there too, all in handcuffs. Breaking news, the reporter announced. In a shocking development, prominent business leader Terrence has agreed to cooperate with authorities, exposing a network of financial fraud that reaches into the highest levels of local society. He took the deal, Michael said softly. I watched my father's face on the screen, remembering all the bedtime stories he used to tell me about right and wrong, about integrity and honor. All lies, just like everything else. It's really over, I whispered. Parker squeezed my hand. No, it's just beginning. You're free now. Free. The word felt strange, powerful. For the first time since that IRS notice arrived, I could see a future that wasn't tainted by my father's crimes. But as I watched him disappear into the courthouse, I realized some prices are too high, even for freedom. The cost of this one was my father, my family name, and every childhood memory I'd ever treasured. The courtroom fell silent as Dad stood for sentencing. I sat between Mom and Parker, Michael on the row behind us, his notepad ready. Terrence, the judge began, your cooperation with authorities has been noted. However, the severity and duration of your crimes cannot be overlooked. The court sentences you to 15 years in federal prison. I watched Dad's shoulders slump as the judge continued listing penalties and fines. When the gavel struck, finalizing everything, he turned to look at me one last time. Wait, I said, standing up as the bailiff approached him. I need to say something. The judge nodded, and I walked to the podium. Dad, my voice shook slightly. You used to tell me that our name meant something, that integrity was everything. I believed you, every word. He stared at the floor, unable to meet my eyes. But now I understand. Those weren't lessons. They were warnings. You were showing me exactly who you weren't, hoping I'd become everything you failed to be. Finally, he looked up. Well, congratulations, I continued. I am. I'm choosing integrity, truth, everything you taught me but never lived, and that's the last thing you'll ever give me. As the bailiff led him away, he called out, "Princess." "Goodbye, Dad." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Michael stepped forward, handling their questions while Parker guided me through the crowd to his car. "Where to?" he asked once we were inside. "The house," I said. "One last time." Mom met us there, keys in hand. "The sale closes tomorrow. Did you get everything you needed?" I nodded, walking through the empty rooms that had once held so many memories. In Dad's study, I opened his desk drawer one final time. There it was, the photo I'd come for. Me at 5 years old, sitting on Dad's shoulders at the park. Both of us laughing before the lies, before the fraud, before everything fell apart. "You should take it," Mom said softly from the doorway. "Why? It's not real. None of it was." "The love was real," she said. "That's what makes this so tragic. He loved you, Summer. He just loved power more." My phone buzzed. "Elizabeth, IRS officially cleared you. Your credit's being restored. You're free and clear." In the kitchen, I found Peyton boxing up the last of the files for the FBI. "I got a job offer," she said. "Compliance officer at a bank. Ironic, right?" "Perfect, actually. Who better to spot fraud than someone who helped hide it?" She smiled sadly. "I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. Didn't tell you." "You did when it mattered." Parker appeared with the last box from the basement. "Found something you should see." Inside was a journal, Dad's private records. The first entry was dated the day I was born. "My daughter arrived today," I read aloud. "Perfect and pure. I swear I'll give her everything, make her proud." I closed the book. He really believed he was doing the right thing, didn't he? "The road to hell," Michael said from behind me, "is paved with Father's intentions." Later that evening, we all gathered at Parker's apartment. Mom, Michael, Peyton, Elizabeth. Family, but chosen this time, not born into. "The story's going international," Michael said, showing us his laptop. "People are coming forward everywhere. Parents using their kids' identities, hidden accounts, generational fraud. You've sparked something huge." "We should start a foundation," Mom suggested. "Help other victims navigate this. Use what we've learned." "Already working on it," Elizabeth said. "The FBI wants Summer to consult on similar cases." I looked around at these people who'd helped me expose the truth, who'd stood by me through everything. "Thank you," I said simply. "All of you." "What now?" Parker asked, taking my hand. I pulled out the childhood photo I'd taken from Dad's desk. The little girl on those shoulders had believed in fairy tales and happy endings. The woman I'd become knew better. "Now," I said, "we build something real, something honest." "Together," Mom added firmly. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from Dad's prison email account. "You were right. About everything. I'm sorry I couldn't be the father you deserved. But I'm proud of the daughter you've become. Not Princess anymore, just Summer. Strong, honest, true. Everything I should have been." I showed the message to Parker. "Are you going to respond?" he asked. "No," I said, deleting it. "Some stories don't need happy endings. They just need true ones." Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars, each one a promise of possibility. My father had built his legacy on lies, but I would build mine on truth. It wouldn't be perfect or easy, but it would be real. And really, that's all I'd wanted from the beginning.
The divorce kit sat on my dining room table like a loaded gun. A bright red bow adorned the box, mocking me with its festive appearance. My 35th birthday gift from my husband, a DIY guide to ending our marriage. I'm Scarlett, and this is how I learned that revenge is best served with a signature at the bottom of very official documents. "Happy birthday, darling!" Kylan's voice dripped with artificial sweetness as he leaned against our marble kitchen counter, watching me with those cold gray eyes. "I thought it was time we stopped pretending." My fingers traced the edge of the box, maintaining the composed smile I'd perfected over 8 years of marriage. "How thoughtful of you, honey. Did you keep the receipt?" He laughed, that practiced sound he used in board meetings. "Always with the jokes. This is why I married you, you know. Your sense of humor." "And here I thought it was my family's company you married me for." The words slipped out before I could stop them. His expression hardened. "Careful, Scarlett. We both know how much influence I have over Phillips Industries now.
Your grandfather may have built it, but I'm the one keeping it alive. I lifted the divorce kit from the box, flipping through its pages with deliberate slowness. By cooking the books? Excuse me? His knuckles whitened against the counter. Nothing, dear. Just thinking out loud. I set the kit down and reached for my phone. I should call Peyton, thank her for the lovely bracelet she sent. Your sister. He practically spat the word. Still bitter about being passed over for the VP position? Tap, actually, she's doing great at her new firm. I dialed Peyton's number, maintaining eye contact with Kylan. Unlike some people, she doesn't need to marry into success. He crossed the kitchen in 3 strides, snatching the phone from my hand. That's enough. I've been patient with your little jabs, but remember who holds the cards here. Give me my phone, Keelan. Or what? He dangled it just out of reach. You'll run to Greta? Tell her your suspicions about the quarterly reports? Nobody would believe you over me. I stood, smoothing my skirt. You're right. Who would believe the granddaughter of the company's founder over the man who appeared out of nowhere 5 years ago? His hand connected with the counter, the sharp crack making me flinch. I built that company into what it is today. You built yourself a nice little embezzlement scheme, you mean? The silence that followed was deafening. Kylan's face went through a fascinating array of colors before settling on an alarming shade of red. You have no proof. Yet. I retrieved my phone from his loosened grip. Consider this divorce kit your first warning, honey. You shouldn't have gotten greedy. He grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. Don't threaten me, Scarlett. You have no idea what I'm capable of. Neither do you. I twisted free, heading for the door. Thanks for the birthday gift. I'll make good use of it. Where are you going? To see Greta. She's taking me to lunch. I paused at the doorway. Oh, and Kylan? I'd start looking for a good lawyer if I were you. His voice followed me down the hallway. You'll regret this, Scarlett. I promise you that. In my car, my hands finally started shaking. I pulled out my phone and dialed Greta's number. Happy birthday, sweetie, she answered on the first ring. I take it he gave you the gift? He did. I started the engine. And you were right about everything. He practically admitted to the embezzlement. I've been watching the numbers for months. Greta's voice hardened. Are you ready to do this? I thought about the divorce kit, about Kylan's threats, about my grandfather's legacy crumbling under the weight of one man's greed. More than ready. Is Chris still willing to help? He's got a whole file of evidence ready. Your sister's on board too. Good. I pulled onto the main road, leaving behind the house that had become my prison. Because I'm not just going to divorce him, Greta. I'm going to destroy him. That's my girl. I could hear her smile through the phone. Meet me at Franklin's office instead of the restaurant. He's expecting us. As I drove toward downtown, my birthday gift sat in the passenger seat like a promise. Kylan thought he was being cruel, but he'd actually given me exactly what I needed. Permission to stop pretending. The time for playing the dutiful wife was over. Now it was time to play for keeps. Franklin's office felt like a war room as Greta spread financial documents across his mahogany desk. The afternoon sun cast long shadows through the Venetian blinds, creating prison bar patterns across the damning evidence of my husband's betrayal. Look at this, Greta pointed to a series of transactions. He's been siphoning money through shell companies for at least 3 years. Small amounts at first, but getting bolder each quarter. I leaned closer, my stomach churning. How much? Nearly 4 million. Greta's voice was tight with anger. He's been hiding it in offshore accounts, thinking nobody would notice. Franklin adjusted his glasses, frowning at the papers. But you did notice, Greta. Why didn't you come forward sooner? Because I needed absolute proof. She pulled out another folder. And because Scarlett needed to see his true colors for herself. My phone buzzed. Kylan's third attempt to call since I'd left the house. I declined it with savage satisfaction. He's getting nervous, I said, showing them the screen. Good. Scarlett, Franklin leaned forward, his expression serious. Are you absolutely sure you want to pursue this? Once we start, there's no going back. He threatened my family's legacy, Franklin. He's stealing from the company my grandfather built from nothing. I met his gaze steadily. I want everything he took, and I want him behind bars. A knock at the door made us all jump. Peyton slipped in, her designer suit slightly rumpled from rushing over. Sorry I'm late. She hugged me tight. Happy birthday, sis, though I guess that's debatable given the circumstances. Actually, it's turning out to be quite productive. I gestured to the documents. Want to see what your beloved brother-in-law's been up to? As Peyton reviewed the evidence, her face darkened. That bastard. I knew something was off when he pushed me out of the VP position. He needed someone more cooperative, Greta explained. Someone who wouldn't question his creative accounting. My phone buzzed again, this time with a text from Chris. Kay just stormed into the office, demanding to see today's transfer records. What should I do? I showed the message to Greta, who smiled grimly. Tell Chris to stall him. Make excuses about system maintenance. We need to move fast, Franklin said, gathering the documents. I can file for divorce tomorrow morning, but we need to coordinate with the SEC about the fraud charges. No, I said, surprising myself with my firmness. Not yet. I want him to think he's won first. Peyton raised an eyebrow. What are you thinking? I'm thinking it's time I played the role he expects. The defeated wife. I started pacing, my mind racing. If he believes I'm giving up, he'll get sloppy, make mistakes. He's already making mistakes, Greta pointed out. That's how we caught him. True, but I want everything. Every transaction, every contact, every corrupt deal he's made using my family's name. I turned to Chris's text. And I want him to feel as helpless as he made me feel. Franklin nodded slowly. It's risky, but it could work. How long do you need? 2 weeks? I thought about the company's upcoming anniversary party. That's when we'll have everyone important in one room. Perfect timing, Peyton grinned. Nothing like a public humiliation to really drive the point home. My phone buzzed yet again. This time, I answered. Where the hell are you? Kylan's voice was tight with barely controlled rage. Having lunch with Greta, like I said. I kept my voice small, frightened. I'm sorry about earlier, honey. Can we talk when I get home? The silence on his end was telling. He'd expected a fight, not submission. Of course, darling. His tone softened immediately. I may have overreacted this morning. Perhaps we can discuss the divorce kit, reconsider things. I'd like that. I forced a tremor into my voice. I don't want to lose you, Kylan. After hanging up, I met the impressed stares of my allies. Damn, sis, Peyton whistled. You missed your calling as an actress. I learned from the best. I gathered my purse. Greta, can you get me complete access to the company's financial records? Already done. I'll send you the login details securely. Franklin, start preparing the divorce papers, but don't file them yet. And Peyton. Yeah? Think you could help me plan one hell of an anniversary party? My sister's smile was positively wicked. It would be my pleasure. As I drove home, I rehearsed my lines for the performance ahead. Poor, scared Scarlett, begging her husband's forgiveness. Grateful, submissive Scarlett, accepting his control over her family's company. Kylan thought he'd won when he gave me that divorce kit. He didn't realize he'd actually given me permission to stop being his wife and start being his worst nightmare. The game was on, and I intended to play it perfectly. You'll never believe what I found. Chris's voice was barely a whisper as he led me through the empty office corridors after hours. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting strange shadows as we made our way to his cramped IT office. A week had passed since my birthday, and Kylan had relaxed his guard, convinced by my performance of a repentant wife. Each morning, I kissed him goodbye, playing the role of someone desperate to save her marriage. Each night, I worked with my allies to dismantle his empire. Chris closed the door behind us and pulled out a USB drive. Remember those offshore accounts Greta found? They're just the tip of the iceberg. He plugged the drive into his computer, pulling up a series of emails. Kylan's been communicating with someone named Marcus about a major deal. They're planning to sell off the company's patents. My blood ran cold. Those patents are worth hundreds of millions, Chris finished. And guess where the money would go? Before I could answer, a knock at the door made us both freeze. Chris quickly minimized the windows as Peyton slipped inside. "Sorry I'm late," she said, locking the door behind her. "Had to shake off Thompson from accounting. He's like Kylan's personal watchdog lately." "Speaking of watchdogs," Chris said, "look what our dear brother-in-law's been up to." As Peyton reviewed the emails, her face went from concerned to furious. "This Marcus guy, I've seen him before, at that charity gala last month." "What?" I turned to her sharply. "Are you sure?" She pulled out her phone, scrolling through photos until she found one from the gala. In the background, partially obscured but clearly visible, was Kylan speaking with a distinguished-looking man in his 50s. "That's him," Chris confirmed, comparing the photo to other documents. "Marcus Blackwood, CEO of Rivera Technologies." "Our biggest competitor," I breathed. "Kylan's selling us out to Rivera? Not if we can help it," Peyton said, forwarding the photo to my phone. "The deal's supposed to happen right after the anniversary party." My phone buzzed. A text from Kylan. "Working late tonight, darling. Don't wait up." "Working late, my ass," I muttered, showing them the message. "He's probably meeting with Marcus right now." Chris's fingers flew over his keyboard. "Want me to check his calendar? I still have access to his assistant's email." "Do it." Sure enough, Kylan had a dinner meeting scheduled at LeBlanc, an upscale restaurant downtown. "I could go there," Peyton offered. "Get some photos of their meeting." I shook my head. "Too risky. He knows your face." I turned to Chris. "But he doesn't know yours, not really. You're just the IT guy to him." Chris grinned. "I do have a pretty forgettable face. Want me to play spy?" "Take my car," Peyton said, tossing him her keys. "The windows are tinted, and it's not one he'd recognize." As Chris left on his mission, Peyton and I continued going through the files. The scope of Kylan's betrayal was staggering. Not just embezzlement, but corporate espionage, insider trading, and now this patent scheme. "Greta's going to have a field day with this," Peyton said, copying files to another drive. "The SEC will—" The office door rattled suddenly, making us both jump. A voice called out, "Security check!" "Just a minute," I called back, trying to sound casual, as Peyton frantically closed windows and removed the drive. I opened the door to find Thompson standing there, his security badge prominently displayed. "Mrs. Phillips, what are you doing here so late?" "Just showing my sister some old family photos from the company archives," I said smoothly. "We're planning a slideshow for the anniversary party." He peered past me suspiciously. "In the IT office?" "The scanner's better in here," Peyton chimed in, holding up some old photographs we kept for just such occasions. "See? Dad's first day as CEO." Thompson relaxed slightly, but still looked uncertain. "Mr. Phillips didn't mention you'd be here tonight." "Oh," I raised an eyebrow. "That's strange, since he's the one who suggested it. You can call him if you'd like. He's at LeBlanc with a client right now." The name drop worked. Thompson backed off, muttering apologies. After he left, Peyton and I waited 5 full minutes before speaking. "That was too close," she whispered. "No," I said, a plan forming. "That was perfect. Now we know Thompson reports directly to Kylan." My phone buzzed with a message from Chris. "Got photos. You're not going to believe who else is at this dinner." The attached picture showed Kylan, Marcus, and Thompson himself, all raising glasses in a toast. "Well, well," Peyton said, looking over my shoulder. "Looks like someone's working 2 jobs." I forwarded the photo to Greta and Franklin. "And now we know exactly who to watch." The pieces were falling into place faster than I'd hoped. Kylan thought he was orchestrating a masterpiece of corporate theft. He didn't realize he was actually staging his own downfall, and I was going to make sure he had front-row seats to the show. "The moral implications alone are staggering," Franklin said, pacing his office the next morning. "It's not just fraud anymore. This is corporate treason." I sat across from his desk, watching him process everything we discovered. "What's the potential prison time looking at?" With everything we have? He stopped pacing. 15 to 20 years minimum. The SEC will have a field day with this. Greta burst through the door, waving a stack of papers. It gets better. I found where the patent money was supposed to go. She spread the documents across Franklin's desk. 3 shell companies, all registered in the Cayman Islands, all connected to accounts in Marcus's name. But guess who has signing authority? Thompson, I guessed. And Kylan's sister. Greta's eyes gleamed. The same sister who conveniently works for the SEC. The revelation hit me like a punch to the gut. That's why he's been so confident. He has someone on the inside. Had someone, Franklin corrected, reaching for his phone. I have a contact at the SEC who owes me a favor. This kind of conflict of interest won't go unnoticed. My phone buzzed. Kylan calling. I answered, switching to speaker mode. Darling, where are you? His voice oozed concern. I stopped by the house to surprise you for lunch. Just running errands, I said, keeping my voice light. Missing me already? Always. He paused. I've been thinking about that divorce kit. I was cruel, and I'm sorry. Let me make it up to you. Dinner tonight? I caught Greta's warning look and forced a tremor into my voice. I'd like that. I've missed you too. After hanging up, I slumped in my chair. He's getting suspicious. No, Greta said thoughtfully. He's getting nervous. The anniversary party's in 3 days, and the patent deal is supposed to happen right after. He wants to make sure you're still under control. Speaking of control, Franklin interrupted, hanging up his phone. My SEC contact wants to meet today. Set it up, I said. But first, I need to have dinner with my husband. That evening, I sat across from Kylan at our usual table in his favorite restaurant, watching him perform his version of contrition. I've been stressed about work, he said, reaching for my hand. The company's facing some challenges, and I took it out on you. It wasn't fair. What kind of challenges? I asked innocently, squeezing his hand. Maybe I could help? His smile tightened almost imperceptibly. Nothing for you to worry about, darling. Just some patent negotiations. With Rivera Technologies? The wine glass froze halfway to his lips. What? I saw it in the paper, I lied smoothly. They're expanding their portfolio, aren't they? Relief flooded his features. Yes, exactly. Just routine business dealings. My phone buzzed with a text from Chris. Thompson accessing financial records now, running full system backup. I excused myself to the restroom, calling Chris immediately. He's copying everything, Chris whispered. All the legitimate records, trying to cover their tracks. Let him, I said. But make sure you... Already done. Every file he touches gets flagged and tracked. We'll know exactly what they're planning to alter. Back at the table, Kylan was on his own phone, speaking in hushed tones. He hung up quickly when I returned. Everything okay? I asked. Perfect. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Just finalizing some details for the anniversary party. I want it to be special. Me too, I said, and for the first time all evening, I meant it. Later that night, as Kylan slept beside me, I slipped out of bed and into my home office. Franklin had texted the details of tomorrow's SEC meeting, along with a warning. Kylan's sister has been suspended pending investigation. Move carefully. I texted back. Time to accelerate the plan? His response was immediate. Yes. She might try to warn him. Be ready. As if on cue, I heard Kylan's phone buzz in the other room. He answered it groggily, but his voice quickly sharpened. What do you mean, suspended? A pause. Who's investigating? Another pause. No, stay quiet. I'll handle it. I slipped back into bed just before he returned, pretending to be asleep as he paced the room, making more calls. My phone lit up silently with messages. Greta. SEC meeting moved up to 8 a.m. Bring everything. Peyton. Thompson spotted shredding documents. Chris intercepted. Chris. Full backup complete. You won't believe what they were planning to delete. I lay there in the dark, listening to my husband's increasingly panicked conversations, feeling not triumph, but a strange sort of sadness. He'd really thought he could take everything my family had built and simply walk away. The anniversary party was 3 days away, but Kailan's world was already beginning to crumble, and he didn't even know it yet. The grand ballroom sparkled with champagne glasses and forced smiles. 50 years of Phillips Industries, celebrated under crystal chandeliers while sharks circled in the depths below. I stood beside Kailan, his hand possessively at my waist, both of us playing our parts to perfection. "Wonderful party," Marcus commented, approaching us with his trademark smooth confidence. "The Phillips family certainly knows how to celebrate." "We do indeed," I replied, noting how Kailan's fingers tightened against my hip, though I'm surprised to see Rivera Technologies represented here tonight. Marcus's smile flickered. "Just fostering good relationships between companies. Isn't that right, Kailan?" Before Kailan could respond, Peyton appeared at my side. "Sorry to interrupt, but the photographer wants the family photos now." "If you'll excuse us," I said, letting my sister lead me away. The moment we were out of earshot, she whispered, "Thompson's making his move. He's heading to Kailan's office." "Chris?" "Already on it. The cameras are running." I glanced back to see Kailan deep in conversation with Marcus, their faces tense despite their smiles. Across the room, Greta caught my eye and nodded. Everything was in position. "Mrs. Phillips?" A server approached with a note. "This just arrived for you." The message was from Franklin. "SEC team in place. Give the signal when ready." I checked my watch. 9:45 p.m. In 15 minutes, I would take the stage to give my anniversary speech. By 10:15, everything would change. "Scarlett!" Kailan's voice made me jump. He'd appeared beside me silently, his face a mask of concern. "We need to talk, privately." He led me to a quiet corner of the ballroom. "Something's wrong. The system's locked me out of certain files, and Thompson says, 'Your IT guy's acting suspicious?'" I finished for him. "Accessing files he shouldn't? Making copies?" His face went completely still. "What did you do?" "Me?" I smiled, channeling his own brand of artificial sweetness. "I'm just the trophy wife, remember? The one you gave a divorce kit to for her birthday." "Scarlett," his voice dropped to a dangerous whisper, "if you've done anything to interfere with—" "Ladies and gentlemen," the MC's voice boomed through the speakers. "Please take your seats. Mrs. Phillips will now say a few words about this momentous occasion." Kailan grabbed my arm. "Don't you dare!" "Let go of my wife." Chris's voice was quiet but firm. He'd materialized beside us, along with 2 other men I recognized as SEC agents in plain clothes. Kailan released me, his face contorting with rage and realization. "You stupid bitch. You have no idea what you've done." "Actually," I straightened my dress, "I know exactly what I've done. Enjoy the speech, honey." The spotlight felt warm as I took the stage, surveying the room filled with employees, board members, and family friends. I saw Marcus trying to slip away, only to be quietly intercepted by more agents. Thompson was being escorted from Kailan's office by security, and my husband stood frozen, watching his carefully constructed world implode. 50 years ago, I began, my grandfather founded this company on 3 principles: integrity, innovation, and family. Today, we celebrate not just our success, but our commitment to those values. I clicked the remote, and the presentation screen behind me lit up with financial records, emails, and photographs. The room erupted in gasps and whispers. Unfortunately, some people saw our family business as nothing more than an opportunity for personal gain. Tonight, we're not just celebrating our past, we're protecting our future. Kailan started moving toward the exit, only to find his path blocked by Franklin and 2 uniformed officers. The evidence of corporate theft, fraud, and conspiracy has been provided to the SEC and FBI. To those involved, I looked directly at Marcus, then Thompson, and finally Kailan. I suggest cooperating fully. The prosecutors might show leniency. The chaos that erupted was almost beautiful. Marcus attempted to run, making it 3 steps before being tackled by security. Thompson broke down, immediately offering to testify against everyone. And Kylan just stood there, staring at me with a mixture of hatred and something that might have been respect. As the officers led him past me, he paused. "I underestimated you." "No," I corrected him. "You underestimated what people will do to protect their family." I watched them lead him away, then turned back to the stunned crowd. "Please enjoy the rest of the evening. The cake will be served shortly." Peyton appeared at my side, grinning. "Only you would remember to serve cake after orchestrating a sting operation." "Grandfather always said," I smiled, accepting a glass of champagne from Greta, "that no celebration is complete without cake." The night wasn't over. There would be statements to make, questions to answer, and a company to rebuild. But for now, I stood with my real family, watching justice unfold while waiters served perfectly cut slices of anniversary cake. Sometimes revenge really is sweet. The morning after the party, I sat in Franklin's office watching the news coverage cycle through clips of Kylan and Marcus being led away in handcuffs. The headlines screamed "Corporate Conspiracy Exposed" and "Phillips Industries Scandal Rocks Business World." "The press is having a field day," Franklin said, muting the TV. "But we have a bigger problem." "Bigger than my husband trying to steal hundreds of millions in patents?" I reached for my coffee, my 3rd cup since dawn. "Your husband's sister at the SEC?" Franklin pulled out a fresh file. "She didn't just get suspended, she disappeared." Greta burst through the door, her usually immaculate appearance slightly disheveled. "Turn on your phone, Scarlett, now." I did, and immediately wished I hadn't. Dozens of missed calls and one text message from an unknown number. "You think you won? The game's not over, sweetheart. Check your email." My hands shook as I opened my inbox. There it was, a video file from an anonymous sender. "Don't," Franklin started, but I'd already clicked play. Kylan's sister appeared on screen, her resemblance to him striking in her cold smile. "Hello, Scarlett. By now you've probably realized that my dear brother's arrest isn't the end of this story. You see, while everyone was focused on the patent deal, nobody noticed what we'd already taken. Check your grandfather's private server, the one with all the original designs. Oh wait, you can't, because it doesn't exist anymore." The video ended. I looked at Greta in horror. "The Innovation Vault?" She was already on her phone. "Chris, the backup server in the old building. Check it now." We waited in tense silence until Chris's voice came through the speaker. "It's gone. Everything. All the original designs, the prototype plans, everything your grandfather developed before the company went public. They must have copied it all and wiped it clean." "Those designs," my voice cracked, "they're worth more than the patents. They're the foundation of everything we've built." "And now Rivera Technologies has them," Franklin finished grimly. "Along with proof of their own illegal activities, I'm betting. Insurance." My phone buzzed again. Another anonymous text. "For every action, there's a reaction. Hope you enjoyed your little victory party." "Track that number," I told Chris. "Already on it." "But Scarlett, there's something else. Someone accessed your personal files too. Everything about your family, your accounts, even your medical records." The room spun slightly. I gripped the edge of Franklin's desk. "When?" "During the party, while everyone was distracted by the arrests." Peyton rushed in, waving her phone. "Did you see? It's all over social media. Someone's leaking personal details about our family. Dad's old scandals, Mom's addiction struggles. They're trying to destroy our reputation," I realized. "Make us look unstable, untrustworthy." "It's working," Greta said quietly, showing me her tablet. The company's stock was already dropping. My phone buzzed one more time. "Revenge is a game for 2 players. Your move." "Call everyone," I said, standing up. "Board members, major shareholders, everyone. Emergency meeting in 1 hour." "What are you going to tell them?" Franklin asked. "The truth, that we're under attack, and that we're going to fight back." An hour later, I stood before the boardroom, facing the worried faces of people who'd trusted my family for generations. Yes, we've been hit, I acknowledged. Yes, they took valuable intellectual property. And yes, they're trying to destroy our reputation. But they made one crucial mistake. Which is? One of the board members asked. They thought stealing our past would destroy our future. They forgot that Philips Industries isn't built on patents or designs. It's built on people, on innovation, on the ability to create something new. I nodded to Chris, who pulled up a presentation. These are the projects we've been developing in secret. New technologies, new solutions, completely separate from anything they stole. And these, I gestured to the room, are the people who made them possible. The tension in the room shifted as understanding dawned. We weren't defeated. We were evolving. As for our reputation, I continued, yes, my family has struggles. We're human. But we've always been honest about our mistakes and committed to making things right. Can Rivera Technologies say the same? By the time the meeting ended, the stock had stabilized. Our shareholders were standing firm. And I had a new text message, this time from a traced number in the Cayman Islands. Impressive, but this isn't over. No, I murmured, showing the message to Greta. It's just beginning. Because while Kylan's sister thought she was teaching me about consequences, she'd actually taught me something far more valuable. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies, it's becoming stronger than they ever imagined you could be. Got her! Chris's voice crackled through my phone at 3 a.m., jolting me awake. Sarah, Kylan's sister. She's in Bermuda, not the Caymans. And she just made a mistake. I was already pulling on clothes. What kind of mistake? She tried to access our new project files using Kylan's old passwords. We traced her exact location. 20 minutes later, I walked into the office to find Greta, Peyton, and Franklin already gathered around Chris's desk, staring at his monitors. Show me, I demanded. Chris pulled up a video feed. This is live from the hotel's security cameras. She's in room 742, and look who just arrived to meet her. The grainy footage showed Marcus's wife entering the hotel, looking nervous. Linda Rivera, Peyton said. Marcus's better half and Rivera Technologies' true majority shareholder. More importantly, Franklin added, she's the only one who can authorize the use of our stolen designs. I smiled for the first time in days. Call the Bermuda authorities, now. Already done, Greta said. But Scarlett, there's more. Show her, Chris. He pulled up another window, a series of emails between Sarah and Linda dating back months before I'd even received the divorce kit. This was their plan all along, Chris explained. Kylan was just the front man. Sarah and Linda were the real architects. They needed someone expendable. And my husband volunteered. I finished bitterly. Perfect fall guy with a convenient motive. The good news, Peyton interjected, is that Linda's meeting Sarah right now to transfer everything. The designs, the documentation, everything they stole. All being tracked in real time. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Ready to negotiate? She doesn't know we've found her, I realized. She thinks she's still in control. Play along, Franklin advised. Keep her talking while the authorities move in. I typed back, name your price. The response came quickly. Smart girl, $50 million in untraceable cryptocurrency. You have 1 hour. And if I refuse? Then tomorrow morning, Rivera Technologies announces their revolutionary new product line, featuring some very familiar designs. I showed the others the exchange. How long until the authorities can move in? 20 minutes, Franklin said. We just need to keep them in that room. I called Sarah's number. To my surprise, she answered. Bold move, she said by way of greeting. Coming to negotiate personally? Just wondering something. I kept my voice casual. Did Kylan know he was your patsy from the beginning, or did you convince him along the way? A pause. He knew what he was getting into. Did he? Because right now, he's facing 20 years while you're sitting in a luxury hotel, about to make millions from my family's work. Life's not fair, Scarlett. Didn't your grandfather teach you that when he stole his first patent? I gripped the phone tighter. What are you talking about? Oh, you didn't know. Check the files we took. Your precious grandfather built his empire on stolen innovations. Like grandfather, like granddaughter, we all steal what we want. You're lying. Am I? Ask Linda when she gets here. Her father was one of the original victims. This isn't just business, Scarlett. This is justice. I muted the phone, turning to Greta. Is it true? About my grandfather? She shook her head. Your grandfather partnered with Linda's father. They developed those early patents together, but her father sold his share when he got into gambling debt. He later claimed theft to save face. I unmuted the phone. Nice try, Sarah, but I know the truth about Linda's father, just like I know exactly where you are right now. The line went silent for a moment. Then, you're bluffing. Room 742, Paradise Hotel, Bermuda. Blue blouse, white slacks. That coffee you just set down? It's from the cafe across the street. Want me to tell you what Linda's wearing too? I heard movement, then cursing. How? You're good at corporate espionage, Sarah. But next time, don't use hotel Wi-Fi for secure transfers. Oh, and say hello to the Bermuda police for me. They should be knocking on your door right about. A commotion erupted on the other end of the line. Shouts, crashes, Sarah screaming something about diplomatic immunity. Got them, Chris confirmed, watching the security feed. Both Sarah and Linda in custody. And look what Linda dropped trying to run. He zoomed in on a laptop lying open on the hotel room floor, its screen displaying file transfers in progress. Everything they stole, Peyton breathed. All the evidence we need. I slumped in my chair, exhausted but triumphant. Send everything to the FBI, and get me the number for Rivera Technologies' board of directors. Why? Greta asked. Because by this time tomorrow, they'll need new leadership. I smiled grimly. And I have some suggestions about corporate transparency they might want to consider. Sarah's final text came through as the sun rose. You'll regret this. I typed back. No, Sarah. The only thing I regret is not seeing your face when you realized you'd been outplayed. Say hi to Kylan in prison. Then I blocked her number and turned to face the new day. The courtroom fell silent as the judge prepared to deliver the sentences. Kylan sat with his shoulders slumped, his designer suit replaced by prison orange. Beside him, Sarah maintained her icy composure, while Marcus and Linda held hands, their faces ashen. The evidence presented in this case reveals a conspiracy of staggering proportions, the judge began. Corporate theft, fraud, market manipulation, and attempted extortion. I felt Peyton squeeze my hand as we waited. Given the severity and premeditated nature of these crimes, this court sentences the defendants as follows. The judge adjusted his glasses. Kylan Phillips, 18 years. Sarah Matthews, 15 years. Marcus and Linda Rivera, 12 years each. Kylan turned to look at me one last time as they led him away. The smug confidence that had once dominated his features was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like respect. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Mrs. Phillips, how does it feel to take down your own husband? What's next for Phillips Industries? I stepped up to the microphones, Greta and Peyton flanking me. Today isn't about revenge or personal victories. It's about justice and corporate responsibility. Phillips Industries will continue our grandfather's legacy of innovation and integrity, starting with a new initiative. I nodded to Franklin, who distributed press packets. We're launching the Phillips Innovation Trust, I announced, a program that supports small inventors and entrepreneurs, ensuring their ideas are protected and properly credited, because success shouldn't come at the cost of someone else's dreams. Back at the office, Chris had champagne waiting. To justice, he toasted. To family, Peyton added. Speaking of family, Greta interrupted, checking her phone. The board meeting starts in 10 minutes. Ready to make history? I smoothed my dress. As ready as I'll ever be. The boardroom was packed, every seat filled, every eye on me as I took my place at the head of the table. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, we've weathered a storm that could have destroyed this company. Instead, we're stronger. Our stock has rebounded. Our new projects are exceeding expectations. But most importantly, we've remembered who we are. I clicked through slides showing our latest innovations, all developed after the theft, all revolutionary in their own right. Philips Industries was never about patents or profits. It was about people, about trust, about building something that matters. I paused, meeting each person's gaze. Today, we make that official. The vote was unanimous. Philips Industries would become a publicly traded company with an ironclad ethical oversight committee. No single person, not even me, could make major decisions without accountability. As the board members filed out, Greta handed me an envelope. This came while you were in court. Inside was my finalized divorce decree. Just paper, but it felt like freedom. You know, Peyton said, perching on the boardroom table, you never did use that divorce kit he gave you. I laughed. No, I didn't. Turns out I needed something stronger than a DIY solution. Like a team of corporate lawyers and federal agents? Chris suggested. Like family, I corrected. Real family. My phone buzzed. A message from an inmate at the federal prison. You won. Happy now? I showed it to the others. Should I respond? Tell him to enjoy the prison library's copy of Corporate Ethics for Dummies, Peyton suggested. Instead, I typed, I didn't win, Kylan. I just stopped losing. Then I deleted his number and turned to my team, my real family. So, who's hungry? I hear LeBlanc has a table available. Apparently, their regular customers are indisposed. Later that evening, sitting around a table filled with food and laughter, I realized something. The divorce kit that was meant to break me had actually set me free. Not just from Kylan, but from fear itself. Earth to Scarlet! Peyton waved her hand in front of my face. Where'd you go? Just thinking about birthday gifts, I smiled, and how sometimes the worst ones turn out to be exactly what you need. Speaking of gifts, Greta raised her glass, here's to new beginnings. And old friends, Chris added. And family, Franklin finished. To family, we echoed, our glasses clinking in the warm restaurant light. My phone lay silent in my purse. No more threats or manipulations lighting up its screen. Outside, the city sparkled with possibility. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new projects, new opportunities to prove that success doesn't require sacrifice of soul. But tonight? Tonight was for celebrating with the people who stood by me when everything fell apart and helped me build something stronger from the pieces. I raised my glass one more time. To the best birthday gift ever. The truth. And in that moment, surrounded by love and loyalty, I felt truly, completely free.